A Jack Daniels swilling, pizza eating, dog hating, whore using, cocaine abusing, hairy back, big belly blowhard from New Jersey. The fat little bastard known as Artie Lang.
Oh, thanks for having me, Artie. How are you? You good?
I'm doing good.
Your apartment looks nice.
Yeah, it's right on the water. I live right on the Hudson River. I got the best view of Manhattan you can imagine. It's perfect.
I know. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah,
good for you, Artie.
Yeah. Making money telling jokes. The great Dennis Miller's here. People know how I feel about Dennis Miller. They hear if they listen to the podcast. I think he's in the top 10 best comics ever, and his special Black and White might be my favorite ever. And I watch sometimes on a plane, I binge watch his stand-up specials to make a flight to, Seattle to play Nut Nuts better. and it works every time. Dennis Miller, what's up, man?
I can't even watch that Black and White thing, Artie, because I remember I was in Chicago like a couple days before doing a gig at the Chicago Improv, and I went to a Supercuts to get a haircut. Yeah. And whenever I watch the Black and White thing, I think, oh my God. It's like Randy Quaid's hair in Kingpin or something. I don't know what the...
All right. Well, let me tell you something. That's so true. When you do an HBO... Ever since Eddie Murphy had that Delirious special where, like, it changed his career, like the HBO special, at least in my generation, that's everything to you. And before you do something like that, or shoot a special of any kind, you do as a comic, you think, okay, what am I going to look like for this? Because Eddie Murphy, well, he's funny, says words you could never say in a million years now, but he's got that.
Well, in addition to the haircut, I had the purple leather pantsuit.
I'm glad I didn't
Oh, no, that was Eddie. Sorry, I missed it.
I'm glad I didn't step over that joke by saying Eddie was wearing it. Eddie Murphy's got to look back. One of the most talented guys of the two things, Raw and Delirious. He looks like, Elvis had an illegitimate black kid who dressed worse.
I remember doing an HBO special once, Artie, in Aspen, Colorado, and
right.
they asked me to do it live, and when I look back, I don't know, I feel like James Arness in season 22 of Gunsmoke. I don't know, my nerves aren't that good anymore. But when I look back, I must have been like a nerveless kid because I stepped up. I did a live special for HBO, and
right.
I remember it was at 8,000 feet. And I don't know if you've ever performed at Aspen, but when you got those lights on
right.
and you got an hour to go live, I stepped out, and I remember Rick Overton, the great one, opened for me
right.
just to get the crowd warm, and he's so energetic on stage that he started hyperventilating up at altitude.
Oh my
so they bring
God.
me out of my dressing room, you're like, and by the way, nobody ever came out of their dressing room cooler than Mike Tyson when he would take the Hyatt towel and just rip it down the middle and throw it over his head.
That's right.
You remember that look on Marvis Frazier's face? Like, what are you kidding?
No room.
Is that a fucking Hyatt towel? What are you kidding?
Exactly. Marvis Frazier sees that, and 2 weeks after he hit Trevor Burbick so hard, Trevor Burbick was like in the 8th grade again.
Right. So anyway, they bring me out of my dressing room, and I start walking to the stage, and Overton has gassed himself like being on before me. He's sitting there taking oxygen from a paramedic.
That's so funny. Oh, that's so great. Yeah, I did Aspen in like 2004. I did it, and I was never in like horrible shape back then, but I was always had some extra weight on me. I was an athlete as a kid, but I thought that was all bullshit. And I get on stage and I'm in front of like all these young, vibrant HBO hip executives, and I'm sitting there taking oxygen on stage in between jokes, sometimes in between a setup and a punchline. And I told Norm Macdonald, a guy who you love as well, and Norm had the funniest thing. When Norm was at Aspen, you might have been there with him. He did that SNL thing. I don't know if you went to that, but he went to get oxygen specifically at the place where they give it to you, and he said to the guy, has any other comedian been here? He goes, it's just you and Ronnie Dangerfield who's been in so far.
What about Norm with the here's the first joke, you know how you always have a moment where a light bulb goes off, and you go, "Wow, that kid's a stone killer." I was watching him one night. He said at a club, had no idea who he was. He said, "I feel sorry for the homeless guy, but I really feel sorry for the homeless guy's dog because the dog is thinking this is the longest fucking walk ever."
Well, I opened for Norm for a while on the road, and we were together. We did a sitcom for 2 years, and we made a movie for 2 months. So it was like going away to camp with somebody, and either hate somebody or like them when you do that. Like, that we ended up liking each other. We had the same vices, unfortunately, as far as gambling's concerned. But some people in the audience know this story, but I doubt you do. You'll love this.
No,
Norm.
Tell me.
So we do a movie called Dirty Work together. It's like a buddy comedy, and the review comes out in my hometown paper. I'm in LA. My mother calls me up crying. The critic in my hometown paper said that Artie Lang has all the charm of a date rapist. That's exactly what the guy said. So Norm gets on the phone and tries to cheer up my mother, and he goes, "Hey, Mrs. Lang, that's a great review." And she goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "A date rapist has to have way more charm than a regular rapist."
So that's Norm sitting shiva with your mother.
Then there was a pause, and then she burst into tears again. Anyway. So I'll look at Black and White differently now, but that is just rapid fire, joke after joke. All your specials are like that. But man, I saw that and I said, if I can get half that good, I'll be happy in this business.
Yeah, that's nice, Artie. Thank you.
Yes.
When I was young, I remember thinking I wasn't good on banter yet because. Well, first off, when I first started, I remember I saw Richard Belzer. I don't know if you ever caught Belzer at Catch.
No, not. I was 70s, a little past before my time, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it was a tour de force.
Right.
I mean, it was like Anton LaVey meets George Jessel. Belzer was absolutely beautiful. And by seeing somebody who had that much skill with the banter, it kind of threw me off. I said, man, I can't do that. When you see somebody who's really good at the beginning, it can motivate you, it can inspire you, and it can freak you out because you think, man, I just can't do it that well. Right. So I went to a more, less sinew, less interstitial. I remember thinking, until I get comfy up here, I better just work the speed bag. I remember watching, way back when they would have that WBA, WBC unification tournament where Jimmy Ellis would fight Leotis Martin. They'd always show Jimmy Ellis, and he was working that speed bag. And I thought, man, that's going to be my rhythm up there till I get my sea legs. I'm just not going to let anybody in. I'm going to look competent. So when I look back on those Black and White specials, or this stuff from that era, I think, boy, you got to let that breathe, brother. But you know what? You can only be who you are in any given moment. Right? I mean, you can't see ahead and think, here's how I'll be on stage in 10 years. You're just up there. I just remember thinking, don't look like you're as nervous as you are. Right. That's the key to it. That's the first time you act, is when you act like you're not nervous.
No, exactly. Yeah, well, that's what it is. Your stand-up is a combination of a guy real confident, and then, of course, the materials there. Also Letterman. I studied your Lettermans before I did it for the first time, because especially with the new show when you'd go on every once in a while, I never saw somebody destroy so hard, and I got to where I was kind of satisfied with it, but obviously never like you. I'll give you my favorite moment of yours on Letterman. You're coming back from a commercial and you're killing it. Meatloaf is the musical guest, and Letterman says, "Meatloaf's here," and you say to Letterman coming out of the applause, "Have you had Meatloaf on before?" And he goes, "Yeah, this is the second time." And you go, "Yeah, Meatloaf's always better reheated the second time." Just like bam out of the.
I remember one night I was doing Letterman, and I was just about to get a syndicated talk show. So I'm back in the green room, and a guy comes up to me and introduces himself, and he's a herpetologist, which is a snake expert. Right. So anyway, I go out first. I sit down next to Letterman, and he said, "How you doing tonight, Dennis?" I said, "Well, I'm a little freaked out, Dave." And he said, "Why is that?" And I said, "Well, I was back in the green room, and I saw my herpetologist making a play on like it's herpes or something. And I thought, oh, my God, what's he doing on here?" And but then I found out he was just talking about snakes tonight. So Letterman laughed. Later on in the set, we're talking about, I said, Dave, I saw somebody evidently hit Mickey Rourke so hard in one of these boxing matches, he stumbled into a good movie. I saw him in Boston. And Letterman says you won't be able to tell those jokes in 6 months when you have your own show because he says this on the air, so you're going to alienate guests. And I said, do you know that to be true? And he said, why do you think I'm booking a herpetologist?
Oh yeah, watching you and Letterman go back and forth is fun, or because it's. I mean, he did that CBS thing. I don't blame him. You know, you gotta. That's the reason he's got $1 trillion now, and he's clearly happy as hell.
Listen, Artie, when you think about any of our the trails you take in this business, and what an absolute. How it can turn into a bloodbath quickly with a mistaken decision.
Sure.
Whenever anybody like serpentines, as Alan Arkin would say, look where Letterman's life led him on. He's got a wife who I adore. I used to know her at SNL. He's got a beautiful kid now. He lost the Tonight Show. But at the end of the day, when you look back on your life, if you got Letterman's deal, it's like, what are you kidding me?
Of course.
It's the mother load. We all got lucky.
Yeah, Mel Karmazin. I mean, you guys, you did obviously, but I think the talent shines through there. The good ones got luck has something to do with it. But I mean, Mel Karmazin, when I was at the Howard Stern show, he was the head of Viacom and everything, and the head of CBS, and I got along with Mel. He kind of liked me, and he would tell me, we talk about people who work for him. He would say, like, without exact figures, you go, yeah, Letterman's got all the money, because the thing about it, he's got Raymond money, Ray Romano money. But I mean, you know him well, Dennis. I should ask you this because I knew him at the show.
You know what? I haven't talked to Dave in, honest to God, Artie, I haven't talked to David in 15 to 17 years.
Ever off the air? Ever off the air or just on?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I sent him a couple Mazel Tovs and emails, or no, it wasn't even emails then. It was notes,
right,
just about his heart surgery and his kid and all that. But you know what? Honest to God, this whole thing about people in show business or in one big club, it's just. For me, it's not the case.
No.
I always feel awkward thinking that because I'm somebody's friend and we're amiable in show business that I know them. I know a few people. I have some dear friends, but for the most part, man, to think that I would call David Letterman, I would revert right back into being a guy who watched Letterman and think, what the fuck am I doing calling Letterman? Yeah. I can't get that together.
If show business is a club, the only person I know well in that club is the bouncer because he's always asking me to leave. Showbiz
is the only club where they'll give you a great table eventually at your own last meal. That's how brutal showbiz.
I mean, that's what happens if you stick around long enough. But I mean, yeah, I guess I was foolish for thinking you might know him well because no one does. But he's got that big beard now, and I hope he's happy. I want him to be happy, but I don't know.
I think that kid flips the whole switch, man.
Right, you're right.
You,
yeah.
When you're in show business, there's an odd little corner of you where that part of you becomes your own kid. You have to, you have so many detractors and all that you kind of have to babysit yourself. And then when you eventually have a kid, you can get off yourself and get outside yourself and not focus on yourself. Christ, it's so cathartic. It's the best thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah. Well, so that's been your experience then, which is great, because we all have anger as comics. You get into it. And hopefully, because when he showed his kid on that last show, I'm so glad he did that and his kid brought his friend, and you saw Letterman to get a joy out of that. He's busting the kid's balls, his friend's ball. He's the funny father, I don't have any time with you, so I want to get into this, but so Fox. It's so great to see you on TV on a regular basis. When I catch on with O'Reilly sometimes. Do you have fun?
Well, it's like Weekend Update.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Artie, I'm not into working much anymore.
I know. Well, yeah.
I'm trying to. These people who say they're looking for the next thing, man. To me, it was always a lily pond, and when I got a lily pad shot out from under me, I was just looking for the next one to stay dry. I don't have any delusions about planting the flag on Everest in show business or pulling the sword from the stone. I just work. And now I'm 62. I've been in too many badly lit rooms in North Hollywood writing jokes most of my life. And, man, I just went to Antarctica for 3 weeks. I've been to Bhutan and the Himalayas. I'm trying to read everything of Hemingway. I go for a hike each day. And I'm not, the O'Reilly thing works perfectly for me. I go on 8 minutes every Wednesday. To me, it reminds me of Weekend Update.
Sure.
And where that was the only thing I was doing then. And then I try to stay out of the way. I go out and do maybe one gig a month with him, and then maybe another 10 on my own during the year. And I'm fine with that. I'm not, it's not like I don't want to work that hard anymore.
No, well, I mean, you had that ability to read a prompter so well. So even, your HBO show, I was always a fan of yours, but your HBO show is when you went to even another level in my book and the specials. And, it was clear that you would approve jokes and write your own, and you'd come down and from wherever you were and go down to L.A. and you
the
belt it
specials
out.
I wrote my own.
Right.
But the HBO show once a week, no, obviously.
You need writers, sure, yeah.
And I don't know if you know the great David Feldman, but he's certainly
I know
one
of
of the
him.
funniest men I've ever.
Yeah.
Feldo walked the picket line once in the writer's strike with a blank sign, which has to be the most genius fucking thing I've ever thought of in my life.
Wow, that's unbelievable. That's deep on so many levels.
I know.
That's layered.
I know. And so when I would go into a room with David Feldman, I remember thinking, well, I'm a good joke writer, but I'm the second best joke writer in this room right now. So, when you're doing a weekly thing, it's hard to, I don't even have a predisposition to want to sit there and write it all. But I had great writers. I had Leah Krinsky and David Feldman, Jim Hanna, and, I don't want to do an Oscar speech here, but, man, I was privileged that I got to do that show once a week.
Yeah, I mean, the end part with the...
And I got to meet heroes. I remember once I had Don Rickles on HBO, and I got a rock after this because I got some other interviews. I'm doing a gig with O'Reilly, by the way. I hate to pitch this,
no,
but it's
go ahead,
on
man.
Father's Day.
Right.
It's on Father's Day at the Mohegan Sun in the afternoon if anybody wants to come.
And Bergen Performing Arts Center in Englewood, May 6th you're doing. We'll plug it all, definitely, but go ahead.
I have O'Reilly or Rickles on, and I've never met Rickles. So they come to me before the show and they go, "Hey, you want to meet Don?" And I go, "You know what? I'm so nervous about that. I'll just meet him out there because it's live. It's 22 minutes. I'd rather meet him for the first moment on the air." So I got and I introduced Don Rickles, and he's doing the Matador music. It takes him like 30 minutes to make it. It's a 22-minute show, and he does the long entry to get there.
Exactly.
And he bows, and he's doing all the Toreador stuff, which I'm howling already. He finally sits down in the chair, and I go, "Don, so nice to meet you. How are things going?" And he looks at me live and he says, "I'm on this piece of shit, Artie."
Well, my story, again, I hate to tell stories some of the fans may know, but I got Dennis Miller here, and this is the conversation we might have. He's in Dirty Work, and the first scene, Dennis, I have to shoot, in the first major movie I'm in, is Don Rickles is going to be in my face insulting me, and I said, well, I'm going to laugh every time. And I said I might get fired, because if you get fired from a movie, it's that first couple of days. So me and Norm played two guys working at a movie theater. He's our boss. And we made the mistake of writing him insults, jokes on our own. He couldn't remember them. And finally we just said, look at Norm and Artie. Look at them. Just insult them like you would insult two people. So he comes up to me, okay? And this is the first scene in the first movie I'm in. And Don Rickles looks at my face. I don't know what he's going to say. And he goes, look at you. Look at you, you baby gorilla. And I just laugh every time. After 30 takes, I get it right. He moves over to Norm and goes, how did you get a movie? And they go, cut. They go, you can't insult him as Norm Macdonald. We can't use it.
Oh, my God.
He kept insulting him as Norm.
Which would have, if I was in a movie theater and I saw him insulting him as Norm, I would have fell out of my seat and rolled down the aisle. That would have killed me so much. Listen, I just read the James Kaplan 2-volume thing about Sinatra. The first one's called The Voice. The second one's called The Chairman. They total 1,600 pages. It's absolute manna from heaven for Sinatra.
Really? Yeah. I've read 5 books on it.
They tell a great story in there about Rickles, where Frank Jr., rest his soul, I think he just passed this week from a heart attack, but he's kidnapped at one point when he's a young man from the Cal Neva Lodge up in Tahoe.
Right.
He's kidnapped by two guys who are sort of like Alec Guinness screw-ups from the Lady Killers. They're not great kidnappers.
Yeah.
They actually call Frank and they demand $200,000, and Sinatra says, "What are you kidding? I'll give you $1 million. Make sure he's safe." So anyway, at the end, they get Frank Jr. back. It's on a Tuesday, and they're overjoyed, and he's safe, and they hold each other in their bosom for 3 days. But then Sinatra's got a Sands engagement, and it's not like they're just going to sit there and hug each other forever. He's got to get back to work, so he goes into Vegas, and Rickles is there, and Rickles says, "Frank, you know why the kidnappers let the kid go?" And Frank says, "No." He started to sing in the trunk. Now, who else is going to call Frank Sinatra 3 days after his kid died?
He's done. Nobody.
And bring the word trunk up. Unbelievable.
The word trunk is in the punchline. The last word of the punchline. Well, after I finished doing our scene with Rickles, I thought it went really well, and I said, Don, this was a pleasure. And he looked at me and said, good luck working construction. Which is almost true. I probably got time for one more thing. And
now listen, Artie. Let's just. I got these stacked up, but can I do it again? I'm
okay.
Talk when I have it more leisure. Your guys got my email, so tell them to send me something.
Go do what you got to do, Dennis. Thanks so much. We'll plug this again. When's the O'Reilly gig? The O'Reilly gig is when?
The O'Reilly thing's on Father's Day. I don't know which one you have, but Father's Day at the Mohegan Sun. And listen, like I said, you have the email, so call and we'll do this when I have more time. I've just got these stacked up to try to sell this O'Reilly thing.
Okay, buddy, do it.
All right, thank you for having me.
I love you, Dennis. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I said to Dan, is he doing a junket? Dan said, absolutely not, and he clearly is. He's got, I mean,
I asked him.
I'm one of a million interviews, but the fact that he let me do it is great. He probably recognized my name a little bit and said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And how funny is he, man? I mean, if he had time and was willing to waste his time talking to someone like me, and I think he does with comics, even though I'm a lower level, he like that would be, if he was willing to talk, we'd talk like that I could talk to him for 14 straight days. I mean, he's the guy you want next to you on a plane to Peru, but I don't know if I'm the guy he wants next to him. But look, we all want a hot chick. If a hot chick could be as funny as Dennis Miller, that's the perfect person you want next to you on a plane. God, that's so great. That's how he started to sing in the trunk. I never heard that fucking story. How funny is that? He started to sing in the trunk. I mean, think about that. First of all, he brings up trunk, brings up kidnapping 2 days later, and he's basically telling him his kid sucks at singing. Sucks so bad that kidnappers would let him go. And he's right about those kidnappers. You ever see it on the Frank documentary that I've read? Those guys, I'm surprised the movie's never been made. They're fuck-ups. They're two, fuck-up guys who try this and are just bumbling idiots. They're bumbling idiots. Yeah. And it seems like a great, almost slapstick comedy. It's Dumb and Dumber kidnaps Sinatra's kid. You're nodding. You don't know that.
Yeah, I do. And I saw the same documentary.
It was on a junket.
And it also, he also, the rumors of him orchestrating it or it was fake, still to this day, go around.
It wasn't fake.
Yeah, I know, but there's still, every time you see it, is there's some.
Let's take a break. Tell me this off the air. Let's take a break. Tone?
Yo.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for doing this, man. Thank you. All right, you ready there? Mm-hmm. Artie Quitter Podcast. I wish this wasn't topical for the reason it is. Tony Siragusa might be the best guest on the planet Earth on any show, but certainly on ours. And for the same reasons that everyone I know loves him on air as a Fox football guy, an analyst. I mean, he's a guy. He's a football player, but he's smart about what he talks about. It's always a perfect combination of he busts balls and he's funny, but then he goes into an analysis where you go, well, that guy was obviously great because he was also smart on the field, and he's just good on the air, in my opinion. I don't know anybody who disagrees with me, and not just a Jersey thing. People in L.A. that I know. And I was sad to see that he was let go from Fox the other day. And Dan showed me the story off the internet. And, I tweeted out support for Tony, as I always will. But Tony, first of all, Tony Siragusa, thanks for being here, man.
No problem, man. Anytime.
And, you say what you want, obviously, but I wanted to give you a forum where, it's a friend talking to you and you can be honest. But here's my theory, and then you talk about it as much as you want. It said that rumors were there was one person who had a no vote at the end, and that's why they let you go. And I was hoping maybe it was something you weren't that upset about. But Danny said you're kind of mad. I don't want to speak for you, but I think you should be. And here's my theory: the pussification, the pussies are taking over. There's gluten-free hot dog stands at Giant Stadium. I mean, listen, Tony, you represent a guy. You're a heterosexual sexual man, and that is becoming a dying breed in show business and in at least analyzing sports in this country. I think kids are growing up with play dates, and even someone said to me that we're talking about John Belushi, and a kid on Twitter said to me, "What's it like if John Belushi was able to talk to you, Art, and asked you what 2016 was like? What would you say to John Belushi?" I'd say, "John, it's great. Every man acts like a woman, and Bruce Jenner actually is one." This generation's Clint Eastwood is Neil Patrick Harris. And I love Neil. Look, the women analysts are all great. They're smart, but you need a guy. You need a guy there to even help raise the boys in this country to become men. And you represent that, and I think maybe that scared them a bit. And they're like, no, we're going to put another woman there or another guy who, is like Anderson Cooper. That's my theory. But now, Tony, you have the floor. You can say what you think and what you feel.
No, listen, I'm not mad at all. It was
Dan once again wrong.
Obviously, over the last, I don't even know how long I've been working for Fox. 2002, whatever that is, 14, 13 years.
Right.
The game of the NFL, football has really changed.
Sure.
It's gotten to where almost the attorneys have gotten onto the field. So you got to hit this way. You can't do it that way. I mean, the game of soccer has been around for probably the cavemen probably played soccer.
Right.
And you never hear of a rule change. And the NFL, it's every year there's 10 different rules.
Yep.
10 new rules to the game. So it's you have all these guys holding records for receiving and coming across the middle, and now they're getting broke like crazy. But you can't. It's a completely different game.
Yep.
And I liked what I did on the field. I liked the guys I've been with.
Oh, you were great.
I just think they need more guys. They need more players who have played the game. Not the quarterbacks, not the running backs,
right?
Just the guy who is a lineman who can tell you about when there's a pile up. The guy's trying to grab the guy's balls, and not as scared to say it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Not afraid to go. I mean, it's the things that you said. Be introducing me. The world has changed.
Yep.
It's real. No, it's really pathetic. I sit down, and my daughter was home this weekend. We went away. I just got back from vacation, and I got a chance to go and sit down with her. And she's like, "Dad, I'm like, Samantha, what are you looking for in a guy? Like, what you got?" He goes, "Dad, she goes, you wouldn't believe it, Dad.
Yeah.
There's no guys out there. It's unbelievable. Everybody's scared. Who's a mama's boy? Who has to do? I go. It's. I go, listen, if you're looking for somebody like your dad, I'm a dying breed. A guy who's actually a man who wants to take care of his wife and kids.
Right.
If somebody looks at my wife or says something to him, I'm going to punch a guy in the face. I'm not going to go and call a lawyer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's
right.
just, you don't get that anymore, and it's a shame. But Fox, they had to cut, I don't know, $50 million, $70 million. I mean, they made some bad decisions at Fox,
right?
With FS1 and spent a lot of money, and somebody's got to pay for it. And it was a shame because we had a family atmosphere there, with guys like David Hill.
Right. David Hill is one of the best men ever. I mentioned David Hill. David Hill became a good friend of mine when I was at Mad TV. He hired me to do Fox baseball promos there. Oh, he's an Australian guy, real guy's guy.
Yeah.
Murdoch's second guy in command. And David Hill was, I saw him for the first time in 20 years last year in LA at the Beverly Wilshire. And we talked again like we never, he was so good to me, that guy. And
what a great guy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just listen. The one thing about it, too, he's loyal. Loyalty is something that the word loyalty, I think they've taken it out of the dictionary.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Me and you, Art, we grow up in New Jersey. Loyalty is everything to us. You could be a bum, you could be whatever. If you're loyal, you're by our side.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
sure.
It's something that you don't find that anymore in television or in the real world out there. I mean, I guess everybody's struggling with it. When you're an NFL player, let me just give you a little bit of. How I'm talking to guys, and I've got 100 calls, and I can't believe it. I'm like, listen, dude, that's how the world goes. I'm not mad. Hey, listen, everybody's got their time expires, whatever. I was just, this is, just something you got to deal with. I mean, it's not, I get to go and see my son play football every weekend now. It's going to be great. You know,
Well, you're a survivor. You're tough. Yeah, in my tweet, that's why I made sure I said, guys, listen, I have no pity for it. He's going to be fine. I know, but I just said I'm expressing my anger. You know, the loyalty thing. It reminds me of something. You said something so funny to me, Tony, on the DirecTV show. I don't even know if you realized you did this, but it was so funny. Something you said. We were talking about Ray Lewis, and you defended him in a way that was kind of funny, and I sort of called you out on, well, that doesn't sound right, and you looked at me and you said, I'd do the same thing for you, motherfucker.
That's goddamn right. Listen,
and I knew you would. Of course you would.
That's how it is. That's how we grew up.
Yes.
Listen, if I'm your friend, I'm your friend. We're going down together, brother.
Man, well, listen, let me tell you something. If it wasn't Arabs and it was Italians where we came from who were involved in 9/11, if you asked me, I'd go, the towers are still up. I don't see a new tower.
Yeah.
And I never
what are you talking about?
I never saw anything. What
we needed. Hey, we were going to demo that thing anyway. We were looking to take it down to save us some money.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's like the guy who was always cooking the sausage when NBC would go down and ask if John Gotti had illegal fireworks for the 4th of July, and the guy would always go, "No, there's no fireworks."
It's crazy.
last year,
you know, I just hope that the money issue with Fox doesn't really, deteriorate the game on Sunday, because we went last year, and not a lot of people know this. We went from we used to have 13, 14 cameras on a game.
Right.
Maybe 15 sometimes. Now they're down to 10, and this year they're going down to 9.
Oh, yeah.
On 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So they're taking away angles, and if you're a team that the ratings aren't really that great, you really have a disadvantage. I mean, if you're not on major on prime time, and the coach goes and there's a bad call, you're not going to have the angles to go and challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, you're at a disadvantage, and I think the whole thing is, I really believe that they need to get more guys who played the game, who are just guys on the field talking. Put a microphone in their mouth. Let them talk.
It's football.
I mean,
it's football. I mean, come on.
Game.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also a game. I mean, look, it's a big money maker. It's an event. Super Bowl Sunday is a holiday in this country, and I get how important it is. But it's still guys knocking around out there, and what are you going to do? And it is the future. You're right about lawyers. And look, in a lot of ways, me and you have a similar situation because the game has changed for you, and the Howard Stern show changed too. It's sort of like he's a very and look, but Howard has always been a guy who's able to figure out the media landscape, and he changed for more politically correct times. He's interviewing Gwyneth Paltrow there. I don't fit into that show. I tell people on Twitter, they always we miss you on the show. I'm like, dude, I don't fit in there anymore, and I wouldn't. People in Gwyneth Paltrow's life don't want me a foot from her. Like she's talking about her new organic drink, and I'm like the Grimace 2 feet from her, going, show us your tits. That nobody wants that. So Howard moved on, but I'm moving on too. I'm doing this, and I'm having a blast. But when you just said that the game moved on, we have a parallel. Some shows moved on, but there is a rebellion against it, and that's why guys like myself and other great comics like Nick DiPaolo down the line are able to still make a living, because there's an audience who still wants that honesty. You were also
raw. They want raw. They want reality, man.
Right.
They want reality.
Well, you were honest
listen,
too.
I told Fox. I said, listen, they go, how do you approach a game? I said, how do I approach it? I'm going to tell all my buddies who are losing their ass, who are betting the game, why they're losing.
That's great.
They're bozos. You know what I'm saying? Listen, if gambling wasn't involved in this in football, it would be a dud too. You know what I'm
course.
Saying? You couldn't gamble on it. I mean, that's and everyone tries. Oh, you can't talk about that. What do you mean you can't talk about?
What do you think fantasy football is? They found out a way to make money off gambling. It's legal gambling, fantasy football, and that gets to be big money.
Oh, it's not strategy. It's all law. It's all law. It's not.
Right.
Get the hell out of here. Are you kidding me?
Well,
how many calls I used to get. Hey, is this guy playing? That guy. Well, let's go call somebody else. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
That brings up another good point, though, Todd. Some uptight coaches would say that during your analogy, you were too honest about stuff. Like, they say he's not playing for this, but that's BS. Like, what do you think about that? I mean, players love him.
Hey, listen, the one thing about the game when I play, and I don't want to sound like one of the old timers, but everything is on film. Everything's videoed. I mean, when you come into the locker room to when you practice, to you lift weights, they film everything. So you're based upon what you do and your productivity, which the real world isn't, obviously.
Of course.
Right, or me and you would be working.
Right.
It's just a joke. It's just a joke. It's not what you do. It's how much money can we save if we get rid of you. Oh, you're making too much money. What?
Oh, God.
Making too much money.
Oh.
Listen, listen, I would, Howard Cosell and all those guys, they were raw.
Raw, absolutely.
You know
Think about that. Absolutely.
I mean, listen to me. We used to go to the Fox seminars, right? And they'd bring us all in. Hey, hip hip hooray, all that. And it was great. And we'd sit there and we'd learn the new rules and everything like that. Every year, I would go and count how many times John Madden's name was brought up.
Right.
Oh, when John did it, he did it this way. I go, and I stood up there at the end. They asked me to go up on stage. I said, listen, you guys are all full of shit. So you want John Madden and all this stuff, but let him get on TV and say the things that he said. Look at this guy's fat belly.
Right.
He'd have 50 lawsuits now.
Oh, yeah.
I go, and you guys would be telling him he's a bum.
There's young
I go,
comics.
you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, there's young comics who come into the Comedy Cellar and stuff, and they're so safe. They have 30-minute bits about brunch. I'm like, and they don't, and they all go Richard Pryor because they're trained to say that. Well, Richard Pryor was the best and stuff. I go, do you even know anything about Richard Pryor? I go, he said stuff. He said stuff on stage. You would start to cry. You would start.
Oh
to cry.
my God!
Like, I mean, the stuff he said, the honesty he had. You wouldn't. Even, You don't approach it. You don't approach it.
Ice cream.
Right, he's doing character. I mean, yeah. Well, then you got Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy was doing stuff that was so honest, and he was doing it in an ugly red leather suit. It's a different time now, and I don't want to sound like an old fuck too, but.
No,
you almost have to now because I was just on stage on the road recently. If you say black guy instead of African American, if you say black guy, these young kids look like you're raping their pet.
Oh my God!
It's really what are their kids going to be like? We're going towards a society where if I asked my father if there was such thing as a gluten-free hot dog around in 1978, and I asked my father for a gluten-free hot dog at Yankee Stadium when I was 11, he would still be punching me in the face.
Oh, I'd have no teeth. No teeth. You get what you get. That's it.
There's something to being. I get why kids have to be polite, and it is good. It is good that society's moving away from these assholes, racism and the N-word. That's a good thing. But I'm talking about being a man. I'm not talking about being racist. Doesn't mean you're being a man. That's not what we're talking about. No. We're talking about the fact that
get a set of balls.
Right.
A set of balls.
Androgyny.
You know what I'm saying?
Like Ryan Seacrest, he's the new star. Is he a guy? Is he a chick? Is he gay? Is he not? You got to know when a man's a man, and there's none of that anymore. There's no James Caan anymore. and you were around because you were great at football. Though they tolerated maybe you being that way because you were so good. You played, and then you were in the beginning. When I heard you were doing the analogy, I said he's going to be amazing on the air, and you were for years. And now finally, they might want the really polished guy, or literally a woman. And that's fine too.
Well,
that's fine too, but don't let it affect you. Fox took risks.
The answer. Yeah. And I asked that question. I was asked, and I'm like, all right, listen, no problem. They're like, well, we're paying you this amount of money. It's we can't afford that anymore. We can go and get a local girl to do it, and we could just pay her $1,200. They said.
Right.
I go,
it's unbelievable.
I go, listen, you get what you pay for. I just want to let you know that. I can't wait to go and see a local girl who nobody even knows walk up to one of the players and try to interview him. The player's gonna go, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Where's can we get somebody who knows? It's just
and pointing out that fact. There's nothing wrong with pointing out that fact, Tony. You're being honest. And if you point out that fact, everybody thinks you're offensive. And these girls are amazing. People like Bonnie Bernstein. They're so good. They're so good at what they do. But here's the thing: they'll never have. And it's not. Erin Andrews is amazing at what she does. But they'll never be.
Listen, you don't see me and you doing tampon commercials.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. They'll never. I've never worn a tampon, and Bonnie Bernstein has never made a big tackle. They'll never have the experience you had. That's the bottom line.
They don't. When somebody asks me a question, hey man, this Super Bowl when you were in that tunnel and you were getting ready to get announced.
Right.
I could tell them what it's like to be in the tunnel.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Well, I was standing there and they were like yelling at each other and it was really
unreal.
No, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're the switch that you got to switch. You got to flip when you get on that field, it's a different entity. It's a different world. You can't be the same guy off the field as you are on the field.
Right.
When you're that guy, you're out.
And in interest of full disclosure, legally, I did wear a tampon once, but it was at gunpoint in a crystal meth lab.
That was only a liner because you were clown.
Well, you know what else? You know what else, Tony? You're a guy that people can't figure out too. Like the Man Cave show, the way you hosted that show. There's guys like your co-host I loved. He's a good guy.
Great.
But he's a guy who gets prepared. He gets up. He makes sure whatever. You show up last minute, and you're funnier than anybody else, and you're great. And because you are real. You're a natural. You can't teach that. Like Howard would say to people, I don't want Artie to prepare. I want him just to come in and just get into a real conversation. And we're both good at that. And there's a reason we did come from that. It's like at a bar.
I think it was pretty funny when my book came out, and Howard had me on the show, and they booked me for 15 minutes.
Right.
And I said, no problem, whatever. And, an hour and 20 minutes later, we're still talking.
Right, sure.
And it was, because he thought, this football player's going to come in and talk about sports. And obviously, he doesn't know anything about sports, nothing.
Yeah.
and listen, there's no big deal with that. Sports are great to play. I don't like talking about sports. I like playing. I want to hit somebody. I want to punch somebody in the face. I mean, it's hard to go and do the job that I was doing with Fox.
Yeah.
Sitting there and not letting your emotions take over because you get so pissed off when the guy's like, geez, I'm like, man, if the guy just made that tackle, he saves his team 7 points. Like, what's this guy doing? Does he know, that he's affecting everybody? Like, I would get mad emotionally. I have to calm myself down because I was so pissed sometimes. But I sat down with Howard. We just talked about whatever.
Oh, I knew that.
There's so much more to life and how you apply, the things you go through, the 16 knee operations. Different things that people have no clue about.
And that's what Howard was into. That's what Howard liked about. He didn't want to. And you talk about the game all the time. When your name would come up every once in a while, I'd say, Howard, you're going to love Tony. I mean, and people would always say to me at times, you're linked to Siragusa a little bit. I said we knew kind of knew each other when we were younger, and my uncle and him were close, and I met him through my uncle, and I've always really been supportive of Tony because we come from the same. We grew up within 2 miles of each other, and I'm in Vegas. I was a couple of months before I got on the Stern Show. I was doing a sitcom with Norm Macdonald and ABC, and I went to Vegas at the Mirage Sports Party to watch the Mirage Super Bowl party to watch you play the Giants in the Super Bowl. And on the big screen, I'm sitting. Howard was in the room, and Norm's there, and we're all watching the game. And I bet the Giants, so you owe me $14,000. But God, did the Giants have no business being on that field, but you guys. But they had a thing before the game of what players who look like what celebrity, and mine and yours face shows up, and Tony Siragusa and Artie Lang look like each other, and I said I was so proud of that. People looked at me going, wow. I go, you're like a C-list comedian. He's a famous woman. I go, yeah, but it's weird. We're from the same area, and they said you and me look the most like each other.
Listen, the only thing that sucks is I saw one a couple days ago. It was me, you, and Chris Christie looking alike.
Is that true? Listen,
I got to do something.
You want to feel thin? I played a charity softball game with Chris Christie, and I said this on the Tonight Show. Jimmy Fallon might still be laughing. They showed a picture that Danny took of me and Chris Christie on the field in softball uniforms. Okay, I look like Sarah Jessica Parker next to Chris Christie. I look like one of the Olsen twins. He's so I gladly stand next to him. But you're an athlete, And by the way, Christie can hand himself on the softball field. Well, real quick, you said something that's really honest, too. Fox did make a lot of bad investments. They tried with that Fox Sports channel to become like ESPN, and it didn't work. And, the money situation trickles down, but it sucks that it affects you. You get affected by that thing. Whatever. But so what's going on? Are you going to take a break and figure stuff out? You got what do you got going on the horizon now?
Well, I'll be out in L.A. in a couple weeks. I'm pitching a couple shows that I came up with.
Great.
With the T Group. So we're going to be pitching those. We think that they're going to sell. And then, I don't know. Everyone's calling me to do little radio stuff. I mean, that's so easy.
You're a natural.
I don't want, 5 days a week's a lot. I don't know. I don't know if I could find stuff to talk about.
Get something
talking about me taking a shit, and I don't know what.
You'll be fine. Look, I got a couple things pending too, but you know what? If the bottom falls out, me and you together, brother, I'll figure out what to talk about. I'll figure it out. We look alike. Well, Tony, I listen. I love you. I wish you the best. This sucks, and I got to tell you guys, watch where you go with society, because if you take the manliness out, it's not going to be good. Because we're going to start to lose every war. ISIS has got to be afraid of somebody, and it ain't going to be. It ain't going to be Aaron Andrews.
Listen.
I love you, Tone.
I appreciate it. I love you too, buddy.
Anytime.
Everything's
brother.
good, though. Everything's good.
I know
Thank
it
you.
is.
Thank you.
Best to the
All right.
family.
You got it. Thanks.
Later on. Are we on? We are back after a big break. Again, can I hear? I wonder why I can't hear myself that well. Sometimes you can hear me.
Is it your Oscar Gamble fro you got going?
I know I have that fro going. I'm wearing the Yankee hat. I do look like Oscar Gamble, circa '76. Oscar Gamble, 1970. He looked like the Commodore's bass player. Just came from a gig and put a Yankee hat on. God, it's so fucking funny. There's one particular card that I used to keep in my wallet. You want to hear a crazy coincidence? I used to keep Oscar Gamble's card in 1976. There's a particular picture of him, a close-up with the Yankee hat on. His afro is coming out. It's so funny. Afro coming out like fungus. Mm-hmm. And I would use it as ID sometimes, like the bouncer. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't work. I'd do it as a joke. Sometimes if a cop pulled me over, I'd give that as my license and try to get a laugh out of the guy so he wouldn't notice the cocaine in the car. But never worked. But he, as a joke. So, and me and my buddies laughed. I did it until I was like 22. I had it on my thing. And I told Jimmy Palumbo when I met him years later, because a lot of people think Jimmy, who played Johnny Trino in Beer League, great guy, good actor, a good friend of mine. I told him about that, and he's got that sense of humor. He thought that was so fucking funny. And he told me to put on a show, Bob Costas, on an interview. And he goes, you got to see what he's talking about. And I turn on Bob Costas. It might have been on 60 Minutes about steroids or something. And they were talking about baseball in general. And he showed one of the guy interviewing him. He goes, I've had this card. I keep this card in my wallet. And I have for years because it makes me laugh. And it was the same card. He kept the same card in his wallet. Bob Costas and I had that in common. He couldn't believe it. Of all the people. Like, what was a hot chick I had something in common with? So I could call and go, hey, I have something to talk about. Hey, Miss Olivia Munn, notice you keep Oscar Gamble's card. That's because I fucked him, what?
Oh.
Of course. She didn't fuck him. I'm doing that as a joke. She'd have been 3 when he was so popular. And now he's 40. I think he's 84 years old. And Olivia Munn wouldn't date her. What is with you, dude? You're looking around. You don't make any noise.
I was starting to think of what he was on the 77 White Sox, right?
I don't know.
77, 78 White Sox. And then I think he went to the Cubs, too, at the end of his career.
Who cares? You're thinking instead of laughing. You're rubbing your beard. You all right?
Yeah. I didn't shave today. It's driving me crazy.
You're starting to look very, very depressing. Dan is, I worry about him sometimes. I have to ask him, are you suicidal? You've got to see the look. And it's very, very possible being with me. I've made very chipper women. I mean, talk about women. When I meet women, they're ready to start a parade. When they leave here, they're like brooding, like Hemingway writing his last novel. And but you say you've always been like that. Do
yes.
People always said you look sad?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you ever try to work on that?
Fake smile. Here's my fake smile.
It's not. That's not your fake smile. You're trying to do.
What do you?
I'm not asking you to fake smile.
But if I'm reading the paper or something,
I'm not talking about reading the paper. I'm talking about, Dan. There's a body language. Like today, when I actually had to say, okay, I have to ask you, are you okay? Are you sad? And you went, yeah, I'm fine. The body language is like. You're looking down as if you just heard, a loved one was at 3 Mile Island and they can't find them, or 9/11, a plane flew into your house. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I love Dan, though. Dan reminded me of something so funny. I got a pizza with, of course, extra mozzarella. And he saw the box when he came home, and all the extra mozzarella on the top had melted in one corner of the box. And Dan said, "I have to ask this: was all that cheese? Did it come like that?" Like he's going, like you have a legitimate complaint if it came like that. And I used to like it sometimes. I'd make a mozzarella sandwich later in the night, like a Thanksgiving sandwich the next day or something.
Well, you were a big tipper, and I wanted to know
Very
if you tipped
big.
this guy or a woman. There's a woman.
Very big tipper.
Yeah.
A woman. Okay, whatever. Dan being very polite. Well, it could also be a woman. A woman American could deliver a pizza. Equal pay. I don't tip the woman as much. She doesn't need it. Go home. Vacuum. I'm kidding, of course. Can't wait to see the woman that takes over for Tony Siragusa. I'm sure she'll have the same analogy. Because she sacked Rich Gannon. That's what she did. She sacked Rich Gannon, so they covered. What the fuck is going on? So Dan reminded me, before, when I fucking lived in Union, New Jersey, in the late 70s, early 80s, every Friday, because, hardcore Catholic bullshit is you don't meet any Friday. And we were Roman Catholic. And so every Friday, my mom would make us a nice salad and everything, and my father was atheist, so we'd always break that rule. We'd have enormous veal cutlets in the, my father would keep a veal chop for every Good Friday in the van. And I'd go out, my mother would say, don't eat meat. We'd make the sign of the cross and the act of contrition. Then I'd go to the van, and my father would give me a veal chop sandwich and go, there's nothing up there. That's what he would say. There's nothing up there. Don't worry about it. Go to church, go through make your mom happy, your grandmother. Your grandmother's wonderful people. They're good people, but there's nothing up there. And I hope he found out that was right. Because if there's something up there, it's probably bad news for you. So I thought about, when they did, before the invention of that little table thing that they put in, which was apparently that guy's a billionaire.
The little three-prong.
The little three-prong thing that stops the cheese from, sticking to the top of the box, which was a major issue for years.
Oh, absolutely.
And I love how we figured that out. And before that, I would get extra. So on Fridays, I get Capri or 3 guys from Italy in Kenilworth, New Jersey on North 21st Street. I'd get the extra mozzarella on a regular pie. And the guy, I don't know if the guy was a drinker, the delivery guy. I don't know. I'm not accusing him. Let's just say it was before everybody was, not English. So it was like, the kid who with a Blue Oyster Cult shirt. Blue Oyster Cult shirt or a Boz Scaggs shirt or, just went to the Rush concert or I don't know, shirt that says on the 8th Day God created Molly Hatchet. That kid, he had the concert T-shirt on and the real long hair. The real long hair that you'd find in the pizza sometimes. And, cold nights, he's like, cold nights, he's smoking a fucking, a Parliament, like, well, okay, it's $8.50. I hope my buddy Johnny McClung, he delivered for M&M Pizza. Johnny Hocker, Icky Sticky, Ralph on 2. That was Icky Sticky. Icky Sticky, I think, referred to weed, but Johnny Hocker, I don't know, but Ralph on 2, he had 2 slices of pizza, and he threw up. So it was Ralph on 2. Ralph on 2. His nickname was Johnny Ocker, Icky Sticky Apple Pie, Ralph on 2. Johnny McClung. And me and him drove cabs at the same time out of Union, New Jersey. We worked for rival cab companies. I got lucky. I worked for the cab company where the guy made us wear a collared shirt like that meant anything. And his cab company, they made more money. They looked like the Doobie Brothers. So the kid would show up, and there was always... what Danny said, there was a reservoir of mozzarella in one corner. The pie had become a focaccia before anyone knew what a focaccia was. There was no mozzarella in the pie. And it all just in the corner. And what do? You're going to yell at the Boz Scaggs kid? He doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, he would have like the 72 Buick Skylark that was barely running. You don't see them anymore. Nobody has a shitty car anymore. Cause
and 2 blocks away, you knew when the pizza was coming.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. White smoke would come out of the car like there was a new pope. He would have a 72 Comet. White for some of my buddy Mike Liller had a 72 Comet. It was yellow. Look, where did you get it? It looked like urine driving along the road. It looked like a pile of urine. The least sexy car with rust and somehow white smoke came out. And we said, yeah, maybe you should go to the Vatican and say, look, if there's a new pope, I'll just drive around. We went to Mike Lawler. We go, Sheck, yeah. Here comes Shecky. There's a new pope. Or Shecky in the comments from 72. What a collection of people. How did any of us, who works for Apple? Who makes those phones? Not anybody I went to high school with. How big is Asia? I mean, who's making these phones? I mean, did you go to anybody? Did you go to school with anybody, Dan, who could have become like Tim Cook?
I didn't go to school with anyone that could have been a doctor or maybe,
well, you're like Tim Cook in one way.
No.
I led into the joke. I led into that joke. No, but
I don't think
did you go to school with smart kids? You're a rich kid. You went to school probably. Did you go to
I went
private
to
school?
Chicago public school.
Did you go to private school?
No, I did not.
After the
Rich
inheritance,
kid.
where you adopt kids after the
No,
inheritance?
there's no inheritance.
Dan's getting a mother load, man.
Oh, I am not. He sold all the laundromats.
Yeah, and what happened with the money?
Pay his bar bills.
Oh, yeah, right. Bar bills. How many gin and tonics you gotta have? The fucking 18 laundromats. Don't worry about it, dude. You gotta, dude, you're doing the right thing. I'm the idiot. I tell people about money because I'm a friend. You hide it, but that's what rich people do. That rich people do what Dan does. I got nothing. They purposely dress like Dan. You're the only guy I know who's a worse dresser than me. But Dan is a sweetheart. He's family, but I think apparently he's not family because he's not telling me.
There's going to be no big payoff.
How old your father?
74.
Okay, get ready.
He just turned 74.
Get ready. The starting gate. He's probably worried. Does he have a taster? I made the mistake of telling Daddy was in my will, and sometimes he brings me the pizza with the mozzarella.
Yeah.
You're not in it yet. Don't worry. Okay, just calm down. Full autopsy. If there's poison at all, you're out. I want you to tell the other two what I'm about to tell you now. That you're out, expelled. I want you off this campus by 9 o'clock Monday morning. All right, but okay. What I'm about to tell you, this is verbatim the conversation I'd have, and I purposely would bait the guy from Three Guys from Italy, right? The three brothers from Sicily. Okay, really angry people. Me and Tony Siragusa both currently have headshots in their place that says, "Hey Tony, make me a slice." Actually, it closed, I think. Good guys.
Well, sure, you moved out of the area.
Yeah. Good guys, loyal, but they had anger. So if I called to complain about the mozzarella reservoir, I go, Three guys, what? Like almost like Belushi in the cheeseburger, the Italian version, and I go, dude, and again, we were trying to bait him by this point. I go, dude, what dude? This Anthony. I go, Anthony, what do you want? Your mother okay? She's fine. That was my Uncle Frankie. My Uncle Frankie would get real loud, scream at you. Then he'd get low and he'd go, "What the fuck, jerk off, get to the job and take all the sheetrock. Listen, go to Tatucci's, take all the fucking sheetrock in the driveway. On the right hand side, there's plywood on the other side. Don't take the fucking plywood like Tony did. He's a fucking retarded motherfucker. Take the sheetrock, go to Tatucci's. If you fuck this up, I swear to Christ, I'm gonna tear your neck off. I'm gonna fucking shit down your ass." The pause. How's your mother? How's your mother?
Don't nick the drywall. That's all I ever heard.
Go to Tatucci's. Who nicked it? Yeah, of course. Father owner of the construction company.
No, it was apartment building. He owned an apartment building.
Oh, he owned apartment buildings. He sounds poor.
Yeah.
He owned apartment buildings. Dad, he's a fucking millionaire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's not a millionaire.
What apartment buildings, Dan? You own apartment buildings
with 4 or 6 apartments.
Dan,
he sold
your father has a ton of money.
No, he doesn't. Trust me.
Yeah. Okay. He's probably bullshitting you.
He paid for it was my brother's $80,000 a year University of Arizona.
Okay, right. And your brother's rich too, right?
Yeah.
Is your brother rich?
Yes.
Okay. You're all rich.
Yeah.
Think he's gonna let you go? You're the one who you need it the most.
Yeah.
Dude, he owned fucking apartment building. What?
He had 4 apartment buildings.
Yeah, okay, Dan. Lie to Artie. Lie to your buddy.
Yeah.
Who's getting all that money? I know who's getting it. The broad. I know. You're lucky I like her. You're lucky I like her. Don't be crying your chocolate tears over here. We're so lucky no one listens to this. Okay, but fine. So you don't want to tell me the truth you, as a friend of how much money you're getting. I bet you know an exact number.
Well, no, he saved up all that money for his retirement. He's not been.
What's he do? What's he in the Bahamas on a yacht? He's still in Chicago.
Right.
The last time you told me, he fucking fixes his own the hot water heater himself.
Right.
So he's got every dime he ever made, Dan. Every nickel he ever made.
Right.
And it's all somewhere. And old Danny Boy's getting it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Danny Boy's getting it, and Artie will be here. I'll be here trying to convince Flippin to turn the microphone on.
He happened to be in an all-cash business, and I guarantee you he's forgotten where half of it is.
Okay, he remembers. Him and James Brown. There's a rumor that James Brown supposedly buried all his cash off like the highway in Georgia somewhere and forgot where it was. That might be the funniest story of all time. That might be the funniest. And Eddie Murphy was goofing on it on the phone with Norm Macdonald. Norm put him on speaker, and Eddie Murphy didn't know I was in the room. He thought he was just talking it over everybody. He was laughing. Can you imagine that motherfucker on the side of the road going, yeah, I had $1 million away. Eddie Murphy does a perfect James Brown impression. like the funniest guy ever to tell a story. Every guy in the story does a perfect impression of him.
One time at Wrigley Field, you know how they have the big
quick pause in the fun.
They have the big iron gates. I've
been to Wrigley.
At Wrigley Field, they have these giant iron gates that they bring sometimes, the garden vehicles through.
Okay.
And after one of the games, Chuck Berry was playing.
Yeah.
And the head of the Cubs PR was there, and he had a check for Chuck Berry for $25,000. He got paid $25,000 to play for a half an hour.
Okay.
Chuck Berry.
That's not what he claims. He claims he got $10,000 a night. But go.
Chuck Berry pulled into the two gates. He pulled his car right onto the field.
Yeah.
He got out. He said, "Where's my money?" They handed him a check. He said, I said I wanted cash.
Yep.
And they said, well, we don't have that kind of cash. This is a good check. We were the Chicago Cubs.
Right.
He got back in his car. He turned around. He peeled out of the Wrigley Field. Yeah. They had to chase him down, and they used the hot dog money to pay him the $25,000.
You want cash. Cash means cash. I agree with Chuck Berry. Do you understand? I don't know what Chuck's doing, but I know what I used to do. And where I had to go, they didn't say I couldn't go. This is the Cubs. Try saying that to a dealer underneath a bridge by Cabrini Green. This is the Cubs. This check's good. It's a good check. Go back and get the hot dog money. I don't know what Chuck was doing, but that's what I was doing. Anyway, so I would call the guy at 3 guys, to complain about the mozzarella. And again, verbatim, I go, Anthony, what's with the mozzarella? Again, it was all in the corner. Fuck you, go to faggot Domino's. And he would hang up. Domino's had just opened. Like 84, 85, so I was a senior in high school, so we were into the prank calls. We would call him and go, yeah, fuck you! Go to fucking faggot Domino's! And he would call it Homo Nose. I said, yeah, you just made up the funniest word. Fuck you, I'm funny. Go to Homo Nose. Go to Homo Nose. Is there anything funnier than that? Go to faggot Domino's became Homo Nose. And he wasn't even joking. Like, I think he really was trying to say homosexual. Go to Homo Nose. Oh, now he'd have a variety. Go to Papa Faggot John's. Go to Peyton Manning's fucking pizzeria, you fucker. Go get that Indiana fucking wasp Medigan prick. Go get his pizza, you faggot. You want extra cheese, huh? I'm sorry, Mrs. Frank Antoni. What do you want? My father's best man was from Valesburg in Newark. My father was from Italian kid, Mike Frantantoni. His last name was Frantantoni. I love that. Tan was in the name. Frantan. Died too young. Good man. Good family. Anyway, Danny reminded me of that one. It was so funny the way Dan reacted. By the way, did it come like that? Because we have a legitimate bitch. And I'm just so I want the food to be so bad, I just don't care. Like, I tip them extra money. Like, in other words, I want them out of the door. I don't want the receipt. I don't want the brochure for the next fucking special. I don't want to know you're opening up a catering hall. I don't want to know any of it. I want you out of the door so I can begin to consume this. Intravenously, if I can. I want you out of the door. So this is the conversation with the Mexican guy. You want this? No, here's another $5. Leave. Do you want we have a new, here's $10. Leave. We have another contract. Here's here's $100. I want to eat. Get the fuck away.
If you save 25, the coupons you get
right.
pizza.
Did you say you sign it? You sign it. My name's Artie. Here's my fucking platinum Amex card. For the next hour, take your wife to Barney's, whatever you want. All you have to do is get the fuck away from my mouth so I can put the food in it while I'm watching Sports Center. You colossal prick. If Barney calls, I'll clear it. Sir, this is Bruce Bodavage, manager of Barney's, Madison 60th. There's a Mexican gentleman here who says you gave him your platinum Amex card. We're not racist here at Barney's, of course, you know. We don't body judge. We don't racial profile. But then he whispers, "Listen, there's a fucking guy here from Mexico. Listen, there's a wetback here. He's got your card with him." Says you can buy anything for an hour.
There was one guy about 4 months ago.
Quick Dan Filato pause in the fun.
When you said, "Oh man, I only got a couple bucks for a tip," and he went, "Oh,"
I know, yeah.
And you go, "Wait a minute,
yeah, let's do the math.
I've been fucking tipping you."
Yeah, let's do the math. Let's do the fucking math. My manager, I love him I love the guy, Peter Principata. He's done so well for himself, Peter, because he was always a good guy, and he put good karma out there. So I'm happy he's doing well. But these stories are true. I with the manager stuff, managers in the comedy, some they get 15%, the 10%. I don't know what they do. I just don't know what they do for the money. They come to the meetings with me to get deals, and I'm being funny in the meeting because I'm dancing like a monkey. Because that's what I do. I'm begging for money. There's no dignity, but I'm able to get laughs in the room. And he opens his mouth, the manager, and they say stuff like, "Wait, now I got to dig us out of that hole." Shut up. Just sit there and wait for the checks to come. And so I was always wondering what he did for me. And by the time I was on, well before Stern, a couple years before Howard, by the time I started on the Norm Show, I had made quite a bit of money. A lot of it from development deals, and 2 years on Mad TV was a late night show. It's not like prime time, but 2 years on a network show and touring with stand up, and I had some scratch. And Peter said to me, it was Peter's birthday. I was living at the Bellage Hotel in Hollywood. I was renting a car, but I lived right in back of Duke's Pancakes. Duke's cafe. Amazing pancakes right next to the Whiskey A Go-Go by San Vicente on Sunset. And I could walk there. San Vicente and Sunset is basically where the Bellage was. It's a different hotel now. It's like one of the Ian Schrager hip hotels. But I love that place. I was hooked up there, and I loved it. A lot of party nights and that. I lived there for almost a year. I had a deal to do a sitcom for Fox. Got $750,000 to write after dirty work to write a sitcom with this guy and then perform in it. And I was horrible in it, and the script was bad. Mostly my fault, but it was a learning experience. And same year that King of Queens was shot. Mine was called The King of New York. And the script wasn't ready, and they rushed it because they were paying me a lot of money. So, I'm giving my mother checks for $200,000, and she's going like, "What do you have to do for this money?" She thought I was, how to run guns to Cuba, and she was convinced I was doing something illegal. I'm like, "Well, nothing. I'm a fat guy, and I think King of Queens is a hit, so they throw a fucking UPS uniform on me. They're making another $1 billion." I'm benefiting from cankles. So I lived in I lived in Orlando for 2 years. Then I lived in a mental institution in jail for a year, and then I moved into a hotel during the deal. And it was sort of like that rock and roll thing. The writer would come over, this guy Sam Cass, really talented guy, by the way. It wasn't his fault either. They just rushed us, and he'd come over to the hotel, and we'd write the script. And we'd walk up and down Sunset. I went to the Viper Room to see bands. I was 29 years old. Viper Room was always great. And right in front of me, there was an old the Tower Records on Sunset. Was up the block. I was at San Vicente. The Whiskey A Go-Go still had bands. 10 yards from me. Viper Room, it was just a couple years after River Phoenix died in front of the Viper Room. So that was a tragedy, but it was a big-time place because that was great publicity that Johnny Depp got when River Phoenix passed away. Christina Applegate would do her anti-drug dance high. I don't know if she was high. But someone reminded me, by the way, of the story, true story. Christina Applegate hosted Mad TV once when I was there. I did a Jeopardy sketch with her. And my dressing room, it's a true story. My dressing room was right next to the wardrobe lady when she would come up, that she'd fit people for their costumes. It was right next to my room. And the old studio, we each had our own dressing room, but paper-thin doors separated me. A 4-inch door separated me from the wardrobe lady. So I hear Christina Applegate and the wardrobe lady talking about her outfit. And I look through the thing, and I see Christina Applegate trying on shit, and I get a hard on. And I'm looking around. I have the script for the Jeopardy sketch. We're about to rehearse, and I'll cut to the end. I jerked off to Christina Applegate, 4 inches from Christina Applegate, and she had no idea. And I love the wardrobe woman, but she was married, and every time she talked, I'd be like, shut up. Shut up. I once called her on her cell. Nancy, that's not her real name, but Nancy, I am 4 inches from you. I am trying to come before the Jeopardy sketch. So could you please shut up and ask Christina Applegate what she wears to bed? You know, she had an attitude too, like she was a big star, which she wasn't. I don't know. Yeah, Ed O'Neill always, he liked what I look like in this. Like, real condescending. I love it. That's so sexy. You little bitch. Those leather skirts she used to wear, she was all dolled up. And I got a fucking hard on. Again, I was 27. I used to like a hard on. My God, a kid. So I said, "Fuck it." I was very relaxed for the rehearsal. Very relaxed. A nice fucking big load. I spewed out the 4 inches from a big star, and of course, 24 10 milligram Percocet. That was my life. That was my life. $10,000 a week. I sent my mother $5, so I'm going to heaven.
What was your schedule like?
Well, it was real sporadic.
Oh.
If you weren't in the sketch, you were supposed to be writing. Well, I was always writing, always thinking, but they wanted you to go into the office. I'm like, what am I, fruit? You know how you look cool when you don't, Keith Richards at Villanelle Cut for Exile on Main Street. You don't look like you're trying. You don't try, and then Tumbling Dice comes out of your guitar. Of course, not all of us are genius. But yeah, I know. I would go in. Some of the best sketches though were like that. We'd go in and write. Well, organically, they'd come to you. Something would happen, but it was a lot of time we had to fill. But with a sketch show, it's when you're needed there, you're needed there. There were some taping nights. I was in one sketch. Like the week I got arrested, I was so dumb. I just had to get. It was the show before Thanksgiving week, and I was going home for a week, and I would have had a chance to regroup, hit the wall. Stop doing coke for a little while and maybe get better. And I got the 2 days before the flight, the day before the taping, I was going home. I was in one sketch the whole week. Nicole Sullivan, the blonde, she did a real funny sketch, a takeoff on the Lancome. They had that thing where they were sort of, I don't know, they were snobby the way they hired people. She did a character based on that was really funny. So she was doing a recurring character. I was in one of her sketches as a guy she goofed on. That's what it was. You're in somebody's sketches they're piss on if you don't write. That week I didn't write, but I got a lot of stuff on, and I lost all this money in Vegas. $40,000, and it was terrible. Self-destructive thing. So if I had like 4 lines in the sketch, I could have done them in a coma, which I almost did. And if I got through that, I would have got to the flight, maybe got home. Instead, the day before the taping, I got arrested at the goddamn studio. But, I was in one sketch. Anyway, so that was that week. I just had to be there for, I had no schedule. And we're coming up to Thanksgiving week, like to answer your question. And we didn't have to work. You just said think about sketches over the week. So I just had to, if I showed up for the one sketch, that was it. And Nicole was one of the few people. She was such a doll, but I could not intimidate her physically or anything, but she was a little girl, a petite woman, and I would go to her. She had this really cool house on Lookout Mountain, Laurel Canyon. Krista Miller, who was from the Drew Carey show, the hot chick on Drew Carey, and she was on Spin City for a while. Married to Bill Lawrence, who created Spin City, co-created it, big money. But he wasn't a big deal at the time. They were dating. He was a writer. Talented guy. Krista, very pretty and talented. And she lived above Nicole. Nicole was in the middle. And then it was a 3-story, really cool Laurel Canyon, Hollywood Hills house, like built into the mountain with stilts. And on the bottom was a woman who was a vice president of ABC Entertainment. And younger, cute as hell. So that was the three who lived there. A power women trio. Ice-T lived 2 doors down, and Jennifer Aniston, who was not a big deal yet at all, it was the first year of Friends, and Jen Aniston lived right next door. And the night before I got arrested, I was in the same sketch as Nicole. It was her sketch. We both had the same call time, 10 a.m. And Orlando wouldn't let me do the blow. My friend Carol Ciccone, who was, a doll, long story there, she kicked me out of her place, and I went and scored the coke that I got arrested with on the Sunset Strip after I left Carol's. Like that self-destruct. I'll show you. I can't sleep there. I'll go fuck myself up. I'll show you. I sped out of Carol's. To this day, she tells me when we talk. I haven't seen her in a long time, but she goes, "You were going backwards." She lived on a dead end. You got in your car. You were going backwards in reverse. You were doing 80, not even looking in back of you. And you skidded out. It looked like a Starsky and Hutch thing. It was actually kind of cool. I go, "Would that turn you on?" She goes, "Not at all." So I don't believe that, by the way. So I went to the Sunset Strip and I scored the coke, and I won't say where I got it. It was definitely not a place that rhymes with the Broxy. I went to, I said, Nicole, even if she doesn't let me do it, I'll just walk in the door. 4 a.m. I go to Nicole's, and I'm knocking on the door. Krista Miller has to be up at 7 a.m. the next day to tape the Drew Carey show. Do you know what I'm talking about? The cute chick?
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
Krista.
Yeah.
Okay. And she was always nice to me, but you could tell she's a classier person than me. So I met her. Nicole threw some parties at that house, and I met her. And she had it with me at this point. It was like, she comes to the door with like the Sandman in her eyes. It's 4 a.m. I look like, I drove to Woodstock, and I was driving on my way back from Woodstock in 1969. I got a flat. It took me 23 years to change the flat, and I just got back. And she goes, "Artie, what the fuck do you want?" I go, "Because I just got to get in Nicole's. I didn't mean to wake you up." "You didn't mean to wake you up. You're screaming." "Oh, I'm sorry." She goes, "Is Nicole up?" "I don't know." I go, she'll let me go in there. I couldn't text her. But it was back before all that bullshit in 1996. And Nicole finally hears this and just waves me in. And Krista goes, "Oh, let me let you in. Like your door. Can I get you something else?" I'm like, women. She was completely in the right. I said, "Thanks, Krista." She goes, "Whatever." She actually, by the end, she was like, "Okay, just be careful." She wanted to make sure I was all right, And I took that stuff. I'll be very careful. My car was parked in the middle of a little road in the Hollywood Hills.
Oh, God.
Those Hollywood Hills roads, Dan, where you go, like, I can't believe there's not a head-on collision every day.
Yes.
They're 2 ways, but like, where, you don't know if someone's doing 90. That's the night the next night I went to my friend Nadia's. No, the next night I was in jail. No. Okay, my friend Nadia rented a house too. She was doing the show Ned and Stacy, and she was involved too. I don't know what just craziness. So Nicole let me in, and she was seeing this guy, and again the guy also Northwestern guy, nice guy, but again the looks of like we're a better person than this person. This person should be raking the lawn. Like Dan's family, probably. And owns apartment buildings. So I just wasn't getting the vibe. But I was coked up, so I called Carol up. I wanted company. So Carol had the decency to at least talk on the phone. And then she heard me go, she goes, "What was that?" I go, "Nothing." She goes, "Did you just do a line of cocaine?" I go, No. And then she hung up on me. I was doing lines of cocaine off of a James Taylor CD. I always hated that. You couldn't see You've Got a Friend. It was covered.
Oh.
And then I saw the red-haired guy CD, and I did it off that. I've been thinking about you. What's the name of that guy? Remember? red-haired guy, asshole, one-hit wonder. Anyway,
I've been thinking about
you. You had a hit, one hit. Anyway, I did it off that out of respect to Taylor. And the one song I was looking through her CDs, and to this day, Krista Miller and the chick from ABC, who was downstairs and got woken up, refers to this night as the me and Bobby McGee night. I found Janis Joplin, and I played it 50 times in a row, me and Bobby. On cocaine at 5 a.m., screaming from her terrace. And Laurel Canyon, it echoes.
Yes.
Somebody in Ice-T's house, and I knew where it was, came out on the terrace and was looking up at me. I would, like... It was, at the time he lived with Coco, and it wasn't her because I would have noticed her ass. Her ass is like, they say the Great Wall of China is the one thing you could see from space. Her ass I could have seen. I would have seen Coco's ass. Actually, asked Ice-T when Ice-T hosted once. I said a lot of people think in the press that Coco has butt implants. He looked at me and went, "I'd have blown them out by now." Oh, black people just have a way with words. My friend Chub Rock, the fucking great rapper, I was friendly with Chub Rock. He was living at the Chelsea Hotel in the 90s, and he knew Orlando. And you lived at the Chelsea Hotel, you were cool as hell, especially in the 90s. And we picked him up at the Chelsea one night, me and Orlando. They were coming to see me do stand-up at a Club Luna Lounge downtown, and then we were going to go bar hopping, and then we were going to go to a restaurant first. And Chub ate everything like me, steak, and he knew Orlando was a vegan. And a white person who's like, not as cool as Chub Rock would ask a question that Chub Rock asked like this. "Hey, I know you're a vegan. Do they have red meat at this place? Because I want to get a steak." Okay, this is how Chub Rock. That's how a white guy asked. This is how Chub Rock, one of the coolest guys ever, asked. "Yo, Orlando, they got food for carnivores up in this motherfucker?" Oh, how cool is he? A nerdy guy like Ted Cruz goes, "Do they have red meat? I know you're a vegan." Chub Rock gets in my car. At the time I was driving a Mustang. I rented a Mustang because I was back from L.A. for the week. It was Christmas time. Gets in the car. It's chilly. Big leather fucking jacket. Chub was about rocking 350, I think. Shakes my hand and goes, "Yo, Art, what up?" He goes, he had two brothers. He goes, "That's my man Pokey R." His friend, "That's my man Pokey R. That's my Detroit crew." They gave me the fist bump. I just felt so cool. I was with the blacks. I was the only white guy in the car for a while. And then we picked up DJ Blue, who was a white guy, but he acted black. I was the only person who acted white in the car. And we're going to the restaurant, and I knew they had steak because I had asked already, like, "Am I goofy? They have steak there." Like, that's how I felt it. Chub Rock leans in the back after saying, "They got food for carnivores up in this motherfucker." Like he goes, "Carnivore." That's the night. Orlando, of course, met a chick. He was gone. I was driving home. It was 4 a.m. And I said, "Chub, where can I drop you back into Chelsea?" He goes, No, man. I go, you get space cheap overnight, studio space. So his friend was recording an album. And in hindsight, Orlando told me Tupac Shakur was at this session. I would have got a chance to see Tupac Shakur.
Wow.
And I know he was there. He was like, Chub Rock was very quiet about that, obviously, which he should be. But Orlando, I think, told me, he goes, "Lady, you should have went to that. It would have been fun." I go, "I don't know. I'm not that disappointed." Not like, Bruce was in there. You got to remember who you're talking to. But the last thing Chub Rock said to me, what you know this because you remember he came on the Nick and Artie show.
Yeah.
That's right. Right. Okay. I didn't talk to Chub until that night, Dan,
right,
when we talked to him. This is the last thing he said to me for 11 years. I said, "Well, good luck." I dropped off the studio. "You want to come in, man?" I go, "Nah, I can't. I'm gonna hit that," because I was flying back to LA like the next day. And I go, "It was great hanging with you, Chub." He goes, "Thanks, man. You be careful." He goes, "All right, I'm gonna go drop some lyrics for this nigga." I was so cool. I wish I was on tape. Oh, you know how many of my friends I just made up I knew there was steak somewhere, but I would go to my aunt, my grandma. I go, "Grandma, I got any food for carnivore?" What? It's Easter. Of course we have food. We have lamb. You go to the carnival. They have food at the carnival, sure. No, you listen, nigga. You miss me. It's Chobra. What? You're chubby. I think you're very nice looking. You got any food for carnival? Chubb is still around. We got to get Chubb. I want to get Chubb on the show. Let's make a note. I'm making a note of that right now. I have my pens. Dan, by the way, his yearly review of producing. He's got to get a better reminding system.
Okay.
Again, you're definitely not mad at something right now. You're not mad at me.
No, why would I be mad at you?
Because I think you're looking at me like when I tell these stories, and you're like, I don't know, maybe you're mad that I'm more successful in radio. By the way, I'm not.
You're a much better storyteller.
No, you're. Well, thanks. Thanks, Dan.
So anyway, Chuck Berry went through the iron gates.
I know. Well, it was very good this one. You go off on tangents. You do. First of all, you have a lot of great stories because you've led an interesting life. You meet all these people who we can't get on the show, and you go off on a tangent. You start to tell the interesting story, but then you in the middle of it, you go, you start going. Well, Steve, here. Well, how did you'll say something really fascinating? This was a history making. I'd say to you because you were an architect of it. How did Disco Demolition come about? And you go, well, Disco Demolition. Steve Dahl, of course. Steve Dahl was from Ohio. By the way, Ohio, they have that bridge. They have that bridge system. I was there for the community vote. I don't know. You keep going. Stick on the topic.
I had to watch Christina Applegate for a while, for about 2 hours.
When?
When she was about 12 or 13 years old. Her dad was
well, now I was going to say, did you jerk off to her? Now it's creepy.
Her dad was a record promoter, and they wanted to make sure
He was? Yeah. Oh, you told me this.
Yeah.
The Chicago guy?
No, he was L.A. We were out in L.A. It was after Disco Demolition was big. And
is he like an important guy? Well, that story's in my book. Yeah. Me jerking off to her. So that's what I mean. Like, I just told a story I jerked off 4 inches from. You're going to try to follow that with what? What does the story end with you killing somebody?
No. She didn't drown in the pool.
The opener of the what is that reference?
I had to watch to make sure she didn't drown in the pool.
Oh, at 13, she was.
Maybe she was a little younger, but they said keep an eye on my daughter while Steve and I talk.
This really happened?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, you didn't dream this. You didn't dream that you were a lifeguard for Christina Applegate's family.
No. I think his name is Mike Applegate.
You had to watch
Christina Applegate.
Really?
Yeah, she hadn't blossomed yet.
Oh, Jesus, you are so creepy. Did you ever jerk off to a 14-year-old chick?
No.
Elvis did. They all do it. Whatever. I guess you're better than us. I never did either. How old's my biology? Speaking of Blossom. Yeah. I'm not proud of it, but I was making noises like she's trying on like she was in like 8 sketches and she didn't want to be there. I mean, she was doing a favor for somebody. I guess the head of Fox begged her, and she had to be there for the monologue, and we had to rehearse the Jeopardy sketch. It took forever because you had to do something called camera blocking, where you got to get the lighting down. And Mad TV, because it wasn't prime time, we didn't have stand-ins. And she would go, "There's no stand-ins for this?" Because a prime time show. When I got on the Norm show, you had stand-ins. They do the lighting. Like in other words, you have to stand there, someone your size and height and everything, while the camera, they figure out the light to hit you right. They do that on a TV show. Meanwhile, a 12-year-old kid with an iPhone gets a perfect shot of a cop shooting a guy.
Yes.
Looks like a Kubrick shoot. Dennis Miller, that was always his point live. Like, why can't we just get this? Like, at SNL, we got it. Like, what are you lighting? Honestly, what am I going to look like? A young Omar Sharif with the right lighting? Come on, man.
Wouldn't you like to be at a dinner with you, Dennis Miller, and Norm? Have you ever been?
I have been.
Oh, have you really?
What do you mean? Why would you ask me that? I'm at the dinner.
Well, because you enjoyed Dennis's conversation so much today. About Norm, I was wondering.
But I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah, sure. Yeah, the answer is of course. The answer is what you liked. Why would you ask me that? I'm in the dinner. I don't understand the question. You're just killing time.
No, I'm not.
You're nervous. You're asking dumb questions now. What does that even? It's very flattering. You put me with those two guys. I'm not. Those two guys are unbelievable. Of course I would. But if a guy happened to be a fan of ours, then you ask him that. Like me, it's sort of like, well, I'm in the dinner. You understand what I'm saying at all? Like, you should ask me when I like to be at a dinner with Harry Shearer and Bill Murray. Yeah. Then I'm like, And Dennis and Norm are two guys that
I would like to be at a dinner with Norm and Dennis Miller.
Yeah, right. Of course you would. You've been at dinner with me. This is what happens. Ask me. You want to do a podcast tomorrow? This is a conversation. Good.
You want to do a podcast tomorrow?
We'll see. Make sure I don't sleep past 5:30 p.m.
The construction guys are coming tomorrow.
Tell me Gino can be here. Gino called. He's available. When is Gino not available? Right there.
Mike Buschetti wants to apologize to you.
Oh, the Buschetti stuff's so funny. he tweeted me.
Oh, did he?
Artie, don't have your new number. Okay, immediately DM me and we'll talk like men. That was 2 days ago. I haven't responded.
DM me. And we'll
He
talk
thinks there's an urgency. Artie, I realized you're the only person who ever paid me anything.
Oh, Mike.
Artie, do you have Stacey Pressman's new number? Dan gets real concerned about shit. Clearly, it's not important to him. He goes, I wake up in the morning. He looks like, I look like he's going to tell me there's another 9/11. He goes, okay, Gino tweeted some negative stuff. Very sarcastic. Like, you don't invite him on the show. Like, I go, yeah, what else? You go, when Dan gets real dramatic, he takes a breath, he goes, okay. And then it's always like, okay. Sue Costello is in a tub.
If only the water could go a little higher.
Okay. Okay. Is everything all right, Dan? Yeah. Okay. Your mother called. Okay. Her drain was clogged. Okay. I went there. Everything's fine. Okay. It's going to cost you $22. I got it. It was originally $34.
So here's our view.
Oh,
Instead of spending more time debating an issue where we can't
That's
agree.
the ghost of Mitch McConnell.
It's my computer is locked. Look, it started on its own.
That's hilarious. Okay, my computer started on its own. Yeah, so Buschetti's all like, I love the idea of Buschetti going, Artie, this has gone on long enough. No, Mike, and guess why it's going on, Mike? Because you gutter snipe, get on your high horse trying to impress Stacey Pressman. Like, I'll show Stacey that no one intimidates me, and I'll go on the Race Wars podcast and tell Kurt Metzger and Sherrod Small that Artie, you threatened to fight me, Mike. You alluded to you wanted to punch me in the face. That's what I heard. He goes, maybe I'll have to settle like a man. Then you giggled. First of all, I'm not scared of you. Who do you think you're dealing with? Some Hollywood fag? Motherfucker. You owe me a huge apology. Don't fucking get on here. Don't get on the phone, Mike, and start going, okay, all right, like we both were wrong. No. No, you were wrong. You don't have the balls to say, I was doing something that offended you. We're doing what we used to do on DirecTV, where you got paid, $1,500 every 2 fucking weeks to hang out with 2 hot blondes? I ain't the one to put you in red lipstick. Nick wanted to, because he's funny. I should have done that. Oh, I love Buschetti on Twitter. He loves the accolades. A lot of times people, and Danny deserves credit for that weatherman, not you. And I'm goofing on it, making it funny, and you're just fucking sitting there not knowing where Wyoming is. You trying to tell us it's a character? Here was a production meeting. Dan said we should let him do the weather. Art, you be funny, and we'll assume Mike will not know where anything is. You know what we call that in comedy? A home run. So, the Mrs. Gout fire, which I came up with, the weather bit, which Danny came up with, the making a hot blonde walk by you that pretends she likes you, which everyone else came up with. Oh, how creepy. She was paid to like you, and she bailed. In the middle, Mike puts her arm around. He knows her for 10 minutes. Mike puts his arm around her, and she's getting paid. She's getting paid, and she goes, I don't know. I'm not fond of this.
She didn't even want to go to the DirecTV concert. She wanted to go right back to Aruba.
Who was the concert?
Was that the Jay-Z one? It was the New York one.
Oh, she wouldn't want to go to that?
No.
Where Chris Long got a review from Shane that was bad, so me and my girlfriend and Dan weren't allowed upstairs to where Leonardo DiCaprio and the twins were talking because Chris Long was punishing me. Oh, Chris Long was punishing me. What's the matter, Chris? Did I not fawn over the Dan Patrick Show parody of Hoosiers enough? What'd you spend on that? Oh, Chris. You're a smart guy, Chris. What'd you spend on the Dan Patrick Show Hoosiers parody? I'm so good at fake laughing, even I could. It was, oh my God. Oh my God. We're in Indiana, and they decide, I could hear the pitch. Ken Cole. Listen, Chris Long, Ken Cole. I just got the email about the Hoosiers idea. I just can foresee myself laughing like crazy. Dan Patrick is Gene Hackman. Listen, I remember one time I was in Denver. In the morning, we had a real funny gal. I said, you should do a Norma Ray bit. And I wrote Union down on a card. She did it, and of course, skyrocketed to local fame in Denver. And she became Pam Dauber's assistant when they shot the opening to Mork and Mindy in Boulder. Yeah. That concert. Okay, I forgot. That concert. Now, did Chris hire... Did Shane punch that up? Because I know he writes scripts, Shane. Shane writes action movies.
Sci-fi.
Yeah, sci-fi. How's that going? Is the Hoosiers going to become a series? Because he could produce that. Email updates back to the guys in L.A. Artie's rolling his eyes, seems out of it. I'll check back in at 10:30. Yeah, shows, everyone's laughing their ass off. Show seems funny. I don't like it. When can we cancel it? Chris Crane, the last night when we announced it was going away, Chris Crane called me that night and goes, we might have to put the show back on Monday. They couldn't believe the phone calls. We could have taken phone calls for 4 days. People upset. Really? We love this show. Look on Twitter, the people, the way they talk about it. And Boschetti, of course, the point I was making. Boschetti's like, they go, binge watching classic Boschetti weather bits on Artie Lang Show. So funny. Boschetti, thanks, like he's William Hurt from Broadcast News. Thanks so much. Had a blast making those. Sometimes stuff's just organic. Sometimes organically stuff comes up. Shut up, you lughead.
How about when you put the billboard on his chin?
Oh yeah. Oh God. Which chin? What, Mike? Thanks for the watches. Oh, look, the show's over. Time to never talk to Mike Boschetti again. Look what it says on the watch you gave us, Mike. Time to never see Mike again. Was I right, Mike? Was your older brother Artie right about that too? Then you come in here every day. You're on my podcast. Who knows who could hear you? You could be in the next Hoosiers bit. You could play your head could play the rim. You can play like the rim cleaner. You put your head in it and twist it around. It cleans the inside of the rim. I mean, Chris Long puts a new series on every week on the audience. You could be on one of those.
And he's already got the British accent because he likes to put on international
so great
shows.
At it. He's so great at it. What a joke. Well, I mean, listen, also, Mike, you could be in one of Shane's action movies that he's writing. Give me a break. What did Shane think was funny? Like those things where you pose or something? You pose for 2 seconds on the internet.
And that dance.
Yeah,
he loved that dance.
You like
Brooklyn Shuffle? Was it Brooklyn Shuffle or Hustle or whatever it was?
Real Brooklyn. Listen, Artie, the show is 3 years great. We couldn't find. There wasn't a market for it. Except for the 4,000 calls. Not an ounce of advertising. 4,000 people were upset. Show was funny. Anyway, we'll move on. What you heard was Mitch McConnell. How long have I been talking? I was supposed to do an intro to
55 minutes.
All right. The voice that you just I was watching all the I can't get enough of the politics. And they're talking about big in the news is, of course, one of the many things that Obama's going back and forth with the Republicans. And it has never been this divided. It's true. It's insane how the Republicans and Democrats just don't get along on any level. And a real childish thing is going on. This guy Scalia, one of the Supreme Court justices, was so archaic. They're in for life. They got to change that. So he dies. There's only 8 Supreme Court justices. Now you got to, the president appoints a new one. When one dies. Scalia was on the court since 1914 when he and Scalia is making judgments that involve cell phones. When he got on the court, it was Andy Griffith going, "Mary, could you hook me up to long distance?" Literally, that's the case. You got to update. So of course the Republicans don't want that last seat to go to a left-wing guy because they know Obama will hire. To me, that is the most direct influence a president has, is appointing a Supreme Court justice. Everything else you could say is bullshit. But if a Ted Cruz is president, oh my God, the religion. Like, I'm brought up Roman Catholic. He's talking about my religion. You can't bring that into politics. Him and Kasich talk about Jerusalem, talking to the Lord. You know who told us to go to Iraq according to Bush? God. God wouldn't have made a dumb decision like that. It's nuts. The over-religious bullshit. Like, it's very scary how influential that could be. So Obama, they're like, the Republicans have to okay it. And they said, no matter who Obama puts in, we're not okaying it. The next president can decide. And they're taking a risk because they're assuming maybe a Republican could win. If Hillary wins, now what? How long are you going to create this quagmire? So the Senate Majority Leader, because, the Republicans are the majority in the Senate. And you have a leader of the Senate, whoever's the majority, it comes from that party. And it's usually an old-time guy, like one of those old school, almost sounds like a plantation owner type.
Strom Thurmond
type. Yeah. Robert Klein, when he was a young Robert Klein, used to do such a great fucking routine about a Supreme Court judge. Or no, a guy in the committee for the Watergate Commission, on the Warren Commission. I forget, it might have been Strom Thurmond, because he was 90 back then. Real old guy, out of touch, and he's talking to he's conducting the hearings, and he really did this. And the way Klein did an impression on him was so funny. He was calling the microphone a machine. That's how old the guy was. He goes with the southern accent. Can you talk into the machine, Mr. Vice President? Talk into that because I can't hear. I'm talking to my machine. Can you talk into your machine? Klein is like Robert Klein with that real dripping sarcasm. He's calling it a machine. Yeah. No one else can hear the tapes. This 95-year-old cretin can hear the tapes. It's just great. So that's what it usually is, the majority leader. And I was watching the whole thing, and the Senate majority leader for the Republicans, who is not having any of this. Obama met them halfway. He appointed a guy, suggested a guy who, is what they call a moderate, which means he's not extreme either way. He's voted for police in some of these cases that involve shootings, which is great because you got to have people for the police and for the people, the criminal too, because in each individual case, one could be right. Some people just, no matter what, the cops, no matter what, the criminal, whatever. So I think he met them halfway. He appointed a guy, suggested a guy that a lot of the Republicans in the past have said they would want. Came out of their mouths. This guy's name. What's his name? I forget his name.
Merrick Garland.
Okay, Eric Garland.
Merrick.
What's his name? Merrick?
Merrick.
Merrick is a Garland. Okay. Mm-hmm. Judy's father. That's not true. So anyway, real good guy. Obama introduced him the other day at the White House, and he gets a little choked up talking about his wife and kids, and he's a human, clearly an unbelievable smart guy, like the kind of guy that would be in a think tank somewhere, which is what the Supreme Court is. It's a think tank, pushing back ideas back and forth with different views. It's pretty amazing. And Scalia was clearly a guy, that had a lot of very archaic, in many ways wrong views about minorities and women, just really gay people, terrible stuff. But the thing that Danny brought up a great point, as he usually does with politics, that he knows more than I do about it. And he knew that a good thing Scalia did do was he always had a liberal because each one of the judges has their own little mini think tank, and in that, when they were debating, he had a liberal to push back on his ideas, which is it makes so much sense. That was actually good news. So this guy who clearly should be the guy probably based on what's going on. No, a lot of these Republicans, he's also got no. We don't even care. We're not even thinking about it. And this guy, Mitch McConnell
from Kentucky.
I say McConnell. Mitch McConnell from Kentucky, where the woman wouldn't let gay people get married, from Kentucky. No way. We're not invited. It's just so childish. So they're playing his voice, and I start to listen to it, and on top of being wrong, I'm like, oh, that is one of the creepier voices. Play him, Dan. This is the guy talking about this subject, I believe, right? Yeah. Mitch McConnell. This is Mitch McConnell. Dan.
It is the president's constitutional right to nominate a Supreme Court justice, and it is the Senate's constitutional right to act as a check on a president and withhold his consent.
Yeah, of course.
As Chairman Grassley and I declared weeks ago, and reiterated personally to President Obama,
I'll reiterate to that
the Senate will continue to observe the Biden rule.
The Biden rule.
So that the American people have a voice.
Okay, shut it. Stop it. What he's referring to, they're so fucking passive aggressive. Joe Biden in 1992, because he's a politician, said exactly what they're saying. But, in the House, because it was a different situation. The Democrats were in there. It was flipped. And he said, we should always, Joe Biden, who's Obama's vice president now, said, we should always, when a president is in his last year in office, we know it's going to be his definite last year because it's the end of a double term, back-to-back terms. There's no way we should let him appointed judge. We should make sure it's the next guy. That's what Biden said because it was a different situation. And they're all bullshitting politicians. So this guy's pointing that out. So what we did was we said we do the Biden rule. The Biden rule. That southern, but that sort of deep Herman Munster. What I reiterated, I declared that we do about the Biden rule. The Biden rule being, of course, we didn't know that last time, guys. I said this to Obama. I said this to the colored fellow that is in the White House. Oh, I mean, it just sounds like that would flow off his tongue, racist. Yes. And it just sounds like I told the faggot that. I'm sorry. This is Mitch McConnell. I'm Mitch McConnell. I'm the Senate Majority Leader. I heard of the Arab, who's our president. What's his name? Osama bin Obama. Osama bin Obama. The Sand. What? I wasn't going to say Sand. Oh, I'm sorry. The Arab. Is Arab better than Sand? I'm sorry. Well, yeah. By the way, Mitch McConnell. I just had my 114th birthday. And I come from a different time, a different place. I'm a wizard. I'm starting to lose it. I'm Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader. Now, what I'd like to say is this: we got the president's idea of a judge, and is he a Jew? This judge? No. Scalia was a filthy wop. Of course. Listen. Scalia was a dago. By the way, I introduced legislation, but before you call me racist. Sure, and look, in 1925, I was the Grand Dragon of the Kentucky Clan, but that's 1925. I mean, it was a sort of, in Kentucky, you just had to do it. It was almost like getting confirmed or something. But I'm against that now. Of course, my sheets have been long retired, and I'm a very compassionate man. Ask my wife. Where is that bitch? Yeah. Now, so by the way, everybody's calling greasy Italians wops, and I said no. And I told Scalia this when I met him. We met each other in 1936 Olympics in Munich, and I said that filthy Hitler, he's that goddamn Kraut. And we talked like that back then. But, in Hitler's case, it was, by the way, it's Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader. I said, I like some of Hitler's ideas, but we got to beat this guy. We got to make it look good. And Scalia agreed. And back then, Italians were basically blacks. And I said, Scalia, listen, you should go to law school. But they said WAP. WAP, of course, if you remember, was a archaic term. Very offensive. It was a acronym meaning without papers. That's what they called Italian, filthy, greasy Italians. WAPs. Without papers. Because what happened was these greasers would not have... what happened was there would be so much grease from their oily skin in their pockets... when they got off the boat at Ellis Island, that the papers that they needed to get through, everybody had papers, it would slide out of their pockets from the filthy grease that came from their eyebrows and skin and filthy children. So they are archaic. We know now that their eyebrows were not nearly as greasy as their skin. There was a lot of like most racism, ignorant. By the way, it's Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority. And I told Scalia, listen, we've got to introduce legislation that I will draw up that WAPs is no longer, accepted at the Knights of Columbus when we're drunk. It just doesn't make it. Without papers makes no sense. That was way back in the Doc Ellis Island years. And I said, what we're going to do here, we're going to do. I'm going to think of a new racist term. I'm going to think of a new offensive term for Italians. And I thought long and hard. Now, at this time, I went to St. Louis. We went. My father owned. At the time, he gave me as a gift. He gave me Louisiana, the state of Louisiana. He had made a lot of money in Earl, and I was a bit of a rich kid. By the way, the Senate Majority, Mitch McConnell. Just stay with me. I know some of you Senate people are leaving on the floor. I'm coming to my point. I went to the Dan Filato School of Storytelling. So I listen. I'm a Cub fan. We'll get to that later. Now, I noticed that a young Yogi Berra and Joe Garagiola, two filthy greasers, who would become major leaguers later on, were both playing. And I asked they were up on a hill, and I asked the mayor of St. Louis what the name of that hill was, and he called it Dago Hill. True story. If you Google Dago Hill, that's where Joe Garagiola and Yogi Berra and the rest of the gutter snipes would live. And I said, wow, is that what you call filthy wops here? And he goes, yeah, we call them Dagos. I said, that's not nearly as offensive as wop, and no one really knows what it means. So I introduced legislation with Scalia to the House, and I got that changed. You hear anybody say wop anymore? No, it became Dagos, and that's what happened. So I have that. I want to bring that same type of knowledge to the Senate, and that's what I continue to do. I am a moderate myself. So when the half black, half human Obama, I see Obama. When Obama's acting black, I say, where's your better half? It's very funny. It's an ongoing joke. Obama doesn't really laugh. I think he likes it. I'm not sure. I joke around with him at parties. We go to see Elijah and everything, him and Scalia. And he agreed. I told him the Wap Dago story. He wasn't. I don't know. Obama did not laugh at that at all. His wife thought it was hilarious. The two kids just stared at me. I don't know if he likes Scalia so much, but I think he finds me funny. Again, that's the half black, half human president we have. So I said, listen. If you appoint this job, I'm just gonna say no. I said no way. And a lot of people say to me, no, you told people in private. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, you told people in private that you like this America. I said, yeah, well, I'll deny that. I don't know what you're talking about. I'll push back on that rhetoric. I'm pushing back on your rhetoric. And Donald Trump, who has that New York values, which of course means bearded New Yorkers. A bearded New Yorker, of course, means a Jew in Kentucky, and I'll get back into that. Yeah. So I'm giving you some background on me. Scalia croaks, and I got and I was very upset about that. And I made a joke to his wife. It might have been too soon. I said, I hope he doesn't slide out of the coffin from Greece. And his wife was also Italian-American, and his son is a priest. He's got 42 kids. And I sent him a rubber. I said, try to give this to your father. And the priest, it wasn't meant for the priest kid, whatever. And at the funeral, I thought it was appropriate. I had a couple of slow gin fizzes, as our Southern gentleman would. I told his son, who's the priest, the Wapdago story. He didn't find it. Just as I mentioned Joe Garagiola, he walked away. By the way, this is Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. So I'm just trying to get, everyone's left now, so it's just me here. I'll just record this so the senators left. I'm trying to give you something about me. So what I've done is I introduced legislation based on the Wapdago thing, because I thought that the racial stuff for blacks was very insulting, and I knew Obama would like this. So, you play politics. You do. It's a give and take. So I wanted to get on Obama's good side, the white side. Of course, I'm kidding. I wanted to appeal to the colored fellow. And colored is just archaic. Although it flows off the tongue, I don't mind it. But listen, African-American makes no sense to me. It never will. And Scaly agreed. Again, I retold the falling out of his coffin, slipping because of the grease. I retold the wife that days later, and she did laugh. Time had passed. It's all timing. So I said, I introduced legislation to Obama. He did veto it, which really got me ire. I said, I want to, much like I did with Wapdago, change the name of blacks. Change it because from color to, or African or black or anything offensive. I mean, of course, Jungle Bunny's not going to work. That works in parties. So I introduced legislation where I overheard the comedian David Spade say this at a party. David calls them moon crickets. I think it's a very positive thing. I happen to be from Houston, so Warren Moon, that makes sense, right? One of the greatest black quarterbacks ever. Just quarterback in general. And crickets, of course, and blacks have a lot in common. Crickets make noise all night. They keep you up. Right? So there's the moon thing, very positive. Crickets, and they don't go to bed at night, and they are up causing noise. Obama did not find that funny at all. Much like Scalia, the greasy WAP thing. So I'm not making it. Again, the political correctness running amok. Now, Italians and blacks both hate me. And so I'm not even going to get into my Jewish legislation. I feel bearded New Yorker for Jews is a very, very, very nice way to put things compared to how other people talk about the Jews. I mean, I'm Hitler for wanting bearded New Yorker. So I introduced legislation. They say that legislation. Push back on rhetoric. If another chick on Fox says rhetoric, I am going to throw something at the fucking TV. I saw Judge Napolitano on Outnumbered. And he had come to me one other time. I met Judge McConnell. What happened was I was with a whore, and I was crying. I do remember she was laughing. The guy, that's it. We got to put with the Godfather scene. We have to put McConnell. Okay. You know the senator and the Godfather, too? Pull up the scene there in the brothel. The brothel with Tom Hagen. Some of my best friends are Italian Americans. Let me just say that some of he's the same guy. He's that guy. One more thing, Dan. From now on, you do not contact me directly. Okay, Obama? You talk to Turnbull. Listen, Mr. Trump. Okay, Mr. Trump, you can come out here and play your games with your orange hair and your slick suits and your tall sons. We'll just see what happens. We'll just say you're going to pay me because it's your interest to pay me.
And your oily hair.
Senate Majority Leader McCullough, you can have my answer now if you like. What is that? Here's my offer. Nothing. My offer is nothing. Not Merrick Garland, nothing. I'll pick another judge. That's my liking, not yours, and you'll just accept it. And I'd appreciate it if you'd put up his gas money to the Capitol out of your own money. All right, you play your little game. Hey, Melania, I didn't know you were out here. Melania, I did not know you were out here. We got to play that scene in the brothel. Godfather 2.
I do remember. She was laughing. We've done it before. And I know that I could not have hurt that girl. This girl has no family. Nobody knows that she worked here.
Scum.
It'll be as though she never existed.
Oh, that's so... that's
all that's
him.
left is our friendship.
Up with the music. Think about that. First of all, how dark is that scene? That poor girl. Here's a girl, probably an orphan, gets into drugs. She's a whore. And at some point, you know, Al Neary shows up and fucking chops her head off while she's fucking a filthy old senator. I hope she was drugged up on heroin enough not to feel it. She gets killed, and it is what Tom Hagen says there, what Duvall said. It's so dark and cold. It is as if she never existed. It's as if that girl never existed. They picked a girl with no family and had her seduce him, fuck him a couple times, and then they kill her and make him think he killed her, and they get rid of her, and she never existed, and they get what they want. That's it, right? That's it.
How about when?
How dark?
The senator's crying, Tom's talking to him, and Neary's cleaning the knives.
I know.
He walks out to look.
Well, he looks in.
Yeah.
God, your voice gets very high. He walks out to look. Actually, I do that too. Actually, but when you're getting ass fucked, it must be crazy. I'm sorry, you're got to be a top, right? As a rich Chicago guy, you got to be a top. Listen, Dan, this is Mitch McConnell. I've heard some of the podcasts, and Artie, I don't think you're a faggot. I've introduced legislation to get faggot. To me, we're going to call you not pillow biters is terrible too. We're going to call you human wannabes. We're going to call you hellgoers. We're just disgusting people. Just disgusting. I mean, you know, yeah, Al Neary, he says, it's as if she never existed. Al Neary is cleaning the knife he just gutted her with. Oh. She's lucky Luca Brasi was still alive. Luca Brasi probably bit that horse's head off with his teeth. That's great about Godfather 2, the scenes you don't see. That's why I don't like the epic. I like scenes you don't see, and you assume it. Like you assume the conversation probably happened where, I want you to, when you see that horse, I want you to send Luca Brasi up there. Give him a picture of the horse. Luca can get crazy. Make sure he hasn't had a couple of lines before. Make sure he knows the horse. What's the horse name? Cartoon. Tell him to call the horse. Luca Brasi walking through his stable. Cartoon. You cartoon. He kills 8 horses. Hey, you. Hey, Tony, the black guy. Is that cartoon? Man, you kill 8 fucking horses. We'll kill you in a second. Where's cartoon? And he goes, yeah, what's cartoon? And he just, look about, he bites his head off. How'd you get in the bed without, he put a horse's head in a bed and covered him in blood. He must, what a sleeper, Jack Wolfram. Isn't he stressed a little bit about the young entrepreneur chick in the next room who's crying? He kidnapped her, clearly. He was guilty of rape, and there's a new movie. Johnny Fontaine doesn't get that picture. You think he'd be too stressed? I can't sleep if I got to do the Race Wars podcast. Oh, that's so funny. Sure. So we got Mitch McConnell in that scene. I do believe she was crying. I know she was laughing. Now listen, we've done it before. It's just, Tom, listen. Who is this? Who did you send here? Who's from the organization? Who did Obama send? Oh my God, is that Al Sharpton?
Garland? Is that you, Garland?
Is that Merrick Garland? Now, listen. We've done it before. I could not have hurt that poor girl. You, by the way, do not call me racist. She is a filthy, greasing Italian. She might be half black. She's half moon cricket, half Dago. I know. Me, Mitch McConnell, would I ever fuck a Dago moon cricket whore? I am not a racist. We've done it before. I'd like to say that some of my best friends are Italian American. Who is that? Who would Obama send? Is that Joe Biden? No, who would he send? Who would be the Tom Hagen? Like, who's the perfect guy?
Well, it can't be his PR secretary, Josh Ernst. He's too nice.
Well, sure it could. He has to. The guy has to appear nice. Yeah. You mean the guy who talks to the press every day at the White House? Yeah, that guy. Is that Josh? Josh, how are you?
Ernst.
Yeah, is that Mr. Ernst? Anything on Benghazi? No, actually.
No, he would send John Kerry.
Yeah. John Kerry would end up working for McCullough. That fucking pushover asswipe. We are getting fucked with. People are not afraid of us at all. Nobody is. Iran took all of our money in that deal and promised not to do so. Biden goes over there. Biden's there for 10 minutes. They send off a nuclear missile. It says in Hebrew, Jews have to die. Wipe Israel off the planet. In Joe Biden's face, and Joe Biden goes, well, listen, this is, of course I'm upset. They better watch it. We're going to send sanctions. They're all around saying, yeah, send the sanctions. Fuck you, you fag. Here's another missile up your Biden ass. Because now it's bad. Europe's not going to reissue these sanctions. They don't care about our sanctions. Oh, Jesus Christ. And Cuba today. Did you catch that press conference? Fidel Castro's kid, Raul Castro. Fidel's nowhere to be found. And Obama, you know what? Trump is yelling that it was disrespectful. He doesn't want Fidel. Why would Obama want to take a picture with Fidel Castro? You know what he's done to his own people? That is Obama's ego, man. Obama's a rock star, man, and I like that about him. But to be president, you got to be an egomaniac. On some level, you got to be a megalomaniac. Look at comedians. I made this point before. Just the fact that we're comedians proves we're assholes. Like, if someone's a comedian, they're telling you that we made a life decision where we think that not only will people find what we think in our stupid heads funny and interesting, they'll overpay for a beer for it.
Yeah.
They'll pay $17 for a Rolling Rock to hear my stupid opinions on shit. That's what we're saying by being comedians. So by being president, you're saying I am a megalomaniac. Okay? And it gets away with you sometimes. He promised to Cuba. He wanted to go to Cuba. He wanted to go. He wanted to be the first president in 80 years or whatever to step, and he was. There's two beautiful kids. And God, Chelsea Clinton and two Obama girls. God, the respect I have for them. What hard. I mean, these poor girls are in high school and junior high. You know how hard your life is? Life is distorted anyway, and you're desperately trying to figure out your identity and not fall prey to what I fell prey to, or anybody, like for drugs, whatever, maybe a little weed here and there to get off the pressure of history exams. They're going through that point in life under a microscope when their father's enemies are stronger than any Democratic president's ever had before. There's probably people, Karl Rove and Mitch McConnell. Now, do you have the two Obama kids under surveillance 24/7? Because they're going to do something. They have that extra bone in their ankle, according to Jimmy the Great. And they will do, like these poor girls, what if they want to blow off a little steam one day? What if as seniors, they're 17, they want to maybe have a sip of a Rolling Rock or something? A little bit of the boondoggle. What's the black wine? Night Train. What Belushi said, that Night Train's a beat wine. They want to smoke a little bit of the ha-ha, the hoo-hoo, the Afghani Kush.
What about a date? The older one can date.
What guy's gonna do that? The vetting that was Mitch McConnell. I saw the filthy gutter snipe that asked out one of the Obama girls. Which one is Kadena? Oh, that's Quincy Jones' kid. I'm sorry. Which one's Rashida? Oh, that's also Quincy Jones. He thinks that Quincy Jones is name. Okay, Obama's girls are Rashida and Kadena. No. That's Quincy Jones. I'm sorry. Very pretty moon crickets. Obama, these girls are what classy, strong people. And you can tell by looking at those girls, they're smart, like their parents. You can tell they're bright kids. They're taking in the world. They landed in Cuba, the Vatican. They're meeting the goddamn Pope. That's pressure, man. Your life's already distorted, and you deal with that. So many props to them. They should be on the cover of Time every other week. And look, say what you want about Obama and his wife. They seem like unbelievable parents. You got that many props to that, man. Because they probably had to sit those kids down and go listen. And they do seem like the type that might have thought about it for 2 seconds about how it affects the kids. Like maybe not totally selfish, Which Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton just clearly don't care about Chelsea. Yeah. And I give it to Chelsea. And Chelsea's another strong one. She's so classy. Chelsea's smart. She dealt with all that bullshit. Her father in the news pretending he doesn't know what the meaning of the word is because he wants to cover up getting blown in the White House. And his mother going through that. And Chelsea Clinton, never a scandal. Very strong. Married, children of her own. Chelsea Clinton and Obama girls. My three favorite people on the planet. Dan, your thoughts?
And she's friends with Trump's daughter, which has got to be hard. They're not talking during the...
Which one? The Ivanka?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
They're friends.
I know. Well, it's rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
and by the way, you switched up North Korea and Cuba because Raul's Fidel's brother, not his son.
Okay, thank you. No one knew that. No, but you're right. We should point that out.
But you were talking about North Korea.
Raul. I was. No, I wasn't.
Yeah, you talked about North Korea right before you talked about Cuba, and you said,
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did about the missile.
No, I talked about Iran.
Oh, I thought you would. Okay, they shot a missile too.
No,
okay.
no, Iran. I said.
Okay,
I never brought up North Korea. Iran shot the missile when Joe Biden was there.
Because I know they North Korea shot one too.
Again, but again, you're you're completely wrong. You're usually right. You were very wrong. By the way, I'm very excited to be right with arguing with you. No, I never. When did you hear North Korea? I said, Joe Biden. It was Iran who put up that. Why would I bring that up?
Okay, I got confused.
You know, I'm right, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. God damn it, Jesus. That means you're wrong.
Yes.
Okay, good. Never heard that before. Wow. I'll give the Emperor because he usually is right. But that's okay. There you go. More scary shit. The North Korean guy. And by the way, I love when the North Korean guy. There's a shot of him inspecting the bomb. What does he fucking know about it? He's a big fat little North Korean. What's he looking at? This wire wrong? No. What? He doesn't know anything. Those pictures are so funny.
I know. And you see him today? He's gained like 40 or 50 pounds.
Yeah. He probably ate a whore he killed.
Or an uncle.
Tell the body movers they don't have to work today. I ate the whore.
Didn't he kill like one of his uncles last year?
He killed everybody. They're all gone. He probably killed fucking Nicole Brownson. Everybody. That's it. He kills a whore a day. He fucks a whore and kills her. Listen, the body movers tell him, forget I'm going to start trying to eat the whores. It's less evidence. It's very good. He's got a huge gut from eating hookers. Mr. What's your prime minister? Addicted? What is he? What do you call him?
I think he's president of North Korea. I can't
El
remember.
Chapo? Listen, El Asian Chapo. You're eating a whore a day. You really have to. Can we get gluten-free whores? Yeah, he's eating. He's got the chopsticks up. Again, it's a horrible stereotype. No Asians use chopsticks. Again, you're dating those poor girls dating, and then whatever. I hope they're okay. And look at me. I whined and couldn't deal with my life enough to. I did drugs. These kids, I'm so weak. I'm such a weak person. They're probably looking at Mitch McConnell. Listen, those two little pricks are being too good. They're really pissing me off. Now, my kids are all fuck ups. One of those Kennedy kids. Fucking that compound up there is still crazy. I talked to a cop up there as a buddy of mine. When I killed the whore, and John Kerry came and told me everything was fine, and all that we had was our friendship. I talked to a cop who told me the Hyannisport over there is still crazy. There's like 42 of Bobby's kids and cousins. And supposedly they're really doing crazy shit. Supposedly one kid after Easter gave a nun a curb job. And, we don't charge them. But why can't these Obama kids be more like that? Why can't those kids give a curb job to somebody? They're too good. And they are. They got to be so good. And Chelsea ought to be so. And they're doing it. And, and that fucking thought about your children that you might, look, I'm running for president and there's a lot of shit that's going to come up. I'm thinking about you. Are you okay with this? And even if they say yes, they're so distorted. You got to be an adult and go, no, you're not. She's 70 years old. She's got to do this. She's got to do it. She's got to be president. She's got to show Bill, who's now gaunt and probably just sits thinking about the old days. She doesn't give a shit. He's like in a home almost. He came out and he's saying stupid shit. He's starting to lose it. She had to get rid of him. You see, after he argued with people, she was going down to the polls. Bill disappeared. He argued with some broad and some guy. He's fucking gone. He's gone. She's got to do it, though. Hillary wants to be president. I don't care what Chelsea thinks. I don't care about Bill dying. And she's screaming in these speeches. She seems weird. She's acting like a weirdo. We will get insults, not results. I mean, wait. We will get... Wait a minute. We don't need... Put the card up. We don't need insults. We need results. He's Howard Deaning it, man. We're going to Kentucky. Good night. Dan's not saying anything because he's so mad I'm right. I found out something about Dan's politics. Oh, hell, left wing. Oh.
That's not true.
Oh, God. I don't even want to say what you brought up that one day that was so insanely wrong about the Uber driver. If he was Arab and the terrorists, they'd have more footage on him. Of course they would.
And you know what? I'm very proud of the Bush daughters too. They came out well.
They did? Oh, doesn't one an alcoholic or something? Who got the DUI? One of them got a DUI. Maybe it was a cousin or something. No, but even if that's all they have on their thing, whatever, DUI. You're right. If they're not Keith Richards without the, I mean, I'd be Keith Richards. I was, and I didn't have that pressure. Those kids really they are to be commended. But as much as I love Chelsea now, but Chelsea might be the worst because of the scandal and the scandals that continue. And guess what? Chelsea was like, now I'm an adult. That's in my past. Maybe I can have a second kid and relax, do my thing. But no, mommy has to put on a pantsuit and a yellow Star Trek uniform and debate a 200-year-old socialist who she's losing to because she's got to do it. I'm going to show you all. All you whores who blew my husband. I'm going to show you all. I'm going to show Lena Dunham of girls. Why do we care what Lena Dunham thinks? Why? She has no influence. Nothing. Well, my head's going to fucking explode. So that's my thing. What the Obama girls are going through right now is so amazing. And I think unlike the Clintons, I think the Obamas are great parents. And, I just hope it stays that way. Anyway, long show, amazing show today. Topical shit. The great Tony Siragusa. Tony, I love you, buddy. I'm pulling for you. Believe me, Tony will be fine, but what happened to him is wrong. And if it was what we think, I don't have any guarantees, of course. I don't know what happened. But if it is the pussy's taking over more and Tony's a little too heterosexual, watch it, guys. Watch where we're going in society. Because a society without a sense of humor or men being men every once in a while is not a society that's good. You need Gerard Butler in 300. That's what you need. You insult my queen. You come to Sparta. Then he kicks that jet black guy down the endless hole.
It's over for men. We're done.
You've been done a while. Why? What do you agree, right?
Yes. I hear 25 or 26-year-old guys say stuff I can't even imagine.
Like I have 5 Brussels Griffons.
They were not my dogs.
Dan, you corrected me from Brussels Griffon to Brussels Griffon. But you would have been that way anyway. I'm not kidding. Yeah, you were born that way. But I'll tell you what, Dan. There's no way Dan's a fruit because I'll tell you what, there's no fruit. I mean, I'm saying fruit to try to be funny. I'm gay people. What do they call gay Americans? Who are as big a sports fans as Dan Filon. He is so hardcore. I mean, he's watching Bulls games right now. You are hard. He's watching a Blackhawk, a preseason Blackhawk game.
That's my team. What do you want? I got nothing else.
There's no game. Rick Stevens ain't doing that. It is your team, I know, but you know what? I'll tell you what. I don't mean this to sound racist because it's whatever. It's a language barrier, and the money, and the difference in lifestyle. I don't relate to any Yankees anymore. I'm not as big, Yankee guy. I'm always for the Yanks, and I'll be there, man. And I still go and pay the money and support them. But the new Yankee Stadium, you might as well call it Pepsi Field. It's very corporate. I joke around and say there's a Bed Bath & Beyond and a Crate and Barrel, but there's not, but there should be. It looks like it. It's a corporate field, a corporate atmosphere. And all the players don't speak English and make $1 billion. I can't, they're traveling corporations with no loyalty to the team. Jeter was the last of them. They sort of like, there's no Greg Nettles anymore. There's no Mickey Rivers. We got Ted Cruz instead of Jose Cruz. Anyway, I miss it. By the way, that's my new favorite character. You'll be hearing a lot of Mitch McCullough. We're going to plug him into wherever racist stuff was said. We're going to get transcripts from a Klan meeting David Duke had or something, and I'll do the entire thing. The point is, politics so funny. He's a creep, and Obama suggests a guy that they should elect. They should appoint. He's the guy. He's clearly the guy. And Obama said in the speech, he kind of came up, when I talked to Republicans, Democrats, his name always came up, no way.
He got a unanimous vote.
Right. No way.
Unanimous.
Republicans that are opposed to this said this guy by name. Unreal. So that was my point. We have a bit that Danny thought of. Danny had this great idea when Bowie died. We wanted to play Bowie tunes, but we couldn't. And we were lamenting over it. And Dan thought there's a rule where you can only play 6 seconds of the songs. If you play 7, you have to pay the rights to it. Just 6 seconds, you don't have to pay. Which is, I think, Rick Rubin told me that's the way he got away with those first Beastie Boys albums. There's all those Led Zeppelin riffs. And I asked him about it when I met Rubin, and he said, well, listen, there's only 6 seconds. And you think about it. Right. And they stop. Brilliant. Dan had the idea. He goes, let's just play 6 seconds of Bowie songs. And I go, that sounds funny. And then we started doing it. It was so funny. So George Martin, who was the classic Beatles producer, produced almost every one of their hits. Brilliant guy. He died recently, so it's relevant. And we were trying to get to this, but we need some time. We're going to do that with Beatles songs. We teased it the other day, for you people who might have heard it, but and it was funny already, but we got shit coming up that we're going to have fun with it. And Rob Barnett, the guy I talked to about vinyl with, who might have jumped the shark, by the way. We'll get into that tomorrow. The last episode, first of all, I figured out what was going on. And I'll give you a hint, with my 6th sense. I figured out what was going on. When a guy has the same wardrobe he had on 8 years before the scene he's shooting now, if you first see the guy in 1966 and it's 1973, he's got the same haircut, same clothes on, something might be going on. But with my 6th sense, I figured out what was going on. Great acting still, but I don't know. Weird episode last night, but I'm still with it. Still going to watch. Barnett, who's so amazing. The fans love him. When he's going to come in live, and when he comes in, we might do the 6-second thing with Bruce Springsteen. Great idea, Danny, and fun show today. Dennis Miller, thank you. I love you. We're trying to get him back, right? He said email him. You got to do that. Let's do that once every 2 weeks, revisit it. Don't bug him, but to sit down with a couple hours with him, man. I didn't even get the hint. He's amazing. He's really so funny. So funny. So thanks, Dennis Miller. Thanks to great Tony Siragusa, my friend. You will be back and better than ever. And Filato, I love you. And there's Mitch McConnell. Thanks so much. And listen, you won't have me to kick around anymore. So the moon crickets can be African Americans, and the filthy Wapdagos can be Italian Americans.